Good morning, 5 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It'll be cloudy today, not too humid though, and our high will be around 87 degrees. In the news, the Senate voted Tuesday to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran without congressional approval. 4 Republican senators joined all Democrats to pass it. One of those Republicans, Louisiana's Bill Cassidy.
The reason I voted for them in the first place is I feel like Congress needs to have more input into the policies that are being made. And I feel like this is the only way I can make that point.
Yeah, not to mention that he's an anti-Trumper. The resolution previously passed in the House, though, and it's non-binding and largely symbolic. It does, however, mark the first time that both chambers of Congress have worked together on reining in the president's powers. Opening arguments yesterday in the Blaze Taylor murder trial, the former Tennessee Titans scout is accused of killing his pregnant girlfriend, Jade Benning, and their unborn daughter. Here's News 2's Lexi Wilson.
Prosecutors argued Taylor poisoned Jade Benning's drink with cocaine because he didn't want to be a father. They point to a phone call Benning made to her best friend just before she was rushed to the hospital. During that call, the state says her friend heard Benning say, "What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want the baby." The defense pushed back, saying this was not a murderer. Attorneys for Taylor claim Bennings used drugs and alcohol. They also say that Taylor called 911 and cooperated with investigators.
Now, Taylor has pleaded not guilty, but if convicted, he faces life in prison. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Market indexes were down, driven by a sell-off in tech stocks. The Dow was down 46 points at the end of Tuesday trading. The S&P 500 lost 107. The Nasdaq fell 580. Losses for chip makers Nvidia, Micron, Broadcom, and Lam Research helped drive markets down. Investors could be questioning heavy spending on artificial intelligence and if AI will return bigger profits. Oil prices continue their slide on hopes of a lasting peace deal between the U.S. and Iran, dipping below $74 a barrel. The Supreme Court clears the way for ExxonMobil to sue Cuban state-owned companies in American courts over property seized after Fidel Castro took power on the island. The Department of Energy announcing $17.5 billion in loans to develop nuclear reactors to meet power needs for data centers. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright says several energy companies have already identified sites for proposed reactors. I'm Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
And futures this morning mixed. We've got Dow futures down 74, but the Nasdaq futures gaining 133. The S&P futures are up 10 points. That's the latest news. Traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Hey, watch it on 24 eastbound in the Jolton area. You've got the paving site going on, the construction going on there, and they've only got one lane open to traffic. So that construction site is on 24 eastbound between New Hope Road, exit 31, and Whites Creek Pike, which is exit 35. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.505 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well and welcome on in to your Wednesday, June 24th. There is a lot going on. Holy cow, Mamdani out there in New York. He got the hat trick, Joan. Not one, not two, but three, putting this in air quotes. Democrat socialists. And so
it's a scary thought.
Well, it is a scary thought. And so I think that, and I'm not going to do a deep dive on this right now. I'm going to do it in the 6. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is great for the Republican Party because now for the midterm elections, you're able to define your opponent, and you're able to define your opponent by their own words. Anti-Israel. You're talking about anti-police, defund the police, all of the things that these Democrats or these Democrat socialists, all of these things that they have said in the past are now going to come back and haunt the Democrat Party. You've got the establishment Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer not thrilled with what has happened in the state of New York with these three, because these three, they're basically going to be in the House of Representatives. So Hakeem Jeffries, if they get the majority, Hakeem Jeffries, well, one way or another, he's going to have to deal with these three. And so the squad is now expanding, Joan.
Yeah, and also to note that, we're saying Mamdani candidates, Mamdani's power is increasing. Mamdani, brought these people in, endorsed them, giving him creds. What we're not saying is that Hakeem Jeffries lost three because he opposed every single one of them, and Hakeem Jeffries' ability to endorse and to be a kingmaker has just been... That's my official...
Clip that.
You like that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Sam, make sure you clip that.
He's done. Hakeem Jeffries is done. He has absolutely no influence.
Stick a fork in him.
Yes.
You've got Darreliza Avila Chevier, New York's 13th district. Abolish prisons, abolish ICE, abolish borders, defund the police, said all deportations are wrong. She's called the U.S. an effing disgrace. And at one point on social media, she did post, Joan, that she did not have a napkin, so she wiped her hands on the American flag.
Oh, my gosh.
Claire Valdez, New York's 7th. Grant citizenship and voting rights to illegal aliens, use taxpayer funds for all transgender treatments, and eliminate private health care insurance.
Oh, my gosh.
Then you've got Brad Lander, New York's 10th. Abolish ICE. And by the way, you know who he beat?
Who?
Brad Lander. He beat the village idiot. What is it? Dan Goldman.
He beat Dan Goldman?
He beat Dan Goldman.
Oh,
so
Dan
Brad
Goldman's
Lander,
such a tool.
Abolish ICE, forgive all student loans, almost $2 trillion worth, expand the Supreme Court. And again, he won the primary against Dan Goldman. So Hakeem Jeffries had endorsed all of the main Democrats in the primary, the incumbents. But all of these Mamdani endorsed upstarts came in and just kicked the crap out of them.
Yep. Hakeem Jeffries has zero power.
So now
zero
the question.
Influence.
So now the question is this. The question is this reflective of only places like New York and places like Michigan, or could you see this happen in other states as well?
Yeah.
I would contend no. If we remember, 85%, something in that range, of Mamdani's votes came from people who had lived in New York City for less than 10 years.
And we're going to find out who voted for these folks, but...
Guarantee it's going to be the same people, right? Like, he ran on the same platform. and they probably live in those districts.
Right.
So I would imagine that it's those people, and you're not going to have. I mean, maybe L.A., but L.A. was a dumpster fire way before New York really hit a certain level.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's really these are the hubs for this kind of insanity, is what it seems to be. So I don't see it spreading to a Florida or a Texas, a Tennessee.
It'll never happen in Florida. Like, no.
Okay, so I will say we don't really know. I'm going to call an audible here. Apparently, I am going to cover this now in the first segment. Van Jones said this. I believe that Van Jones is disagreeing with you, Sam, but I think it is a very legit conversation to have, which is, what is the true direction of the Democrat Party? This is what Van Jones says. Van Jones says that the roof is collapsing on the establishment wing of the Democrat Party.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both it's the power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head to head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency, and the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
So we'll have to wait and see. I think it is a very legit argument and debate to have, Sam, whether or not this will be something that spreads amongst Democrats in, maybe a state like Ohio. If you've got a city in Ohio, I don't know, man, Dayton, Toledo,
Cincinnati.
whatever, Cincinnati. So if you have one of these radicals that comes up in a state like Ohio and a place like maybe a Cleveland or a Cincinnati, and you're going to have a primary, and you've got one that is more establishment, then you've got the other that wants to abolish prisons, abolish ICE, abolish borders, defund police, saying all deportations are wrong, calling the United States an effing disgrace, and wiping their hands on the American flag. Which one would win? Does this actually define the Democrat Party? If the Republicans are smart, that is exactly what they need to do. True or not, Sam, true or not, the Republicans need to define the Democrat Party as this.
Well, 100%. But I don't know. From my perspective, I think it's going to be a self-crash and burn situation. People are going to go, Van Jones pointing out that the roof is caving in on the establishment, but the roof will soon cave in on those underneath that, right? This new wave of Democrat socialists, let's just call them what they are. They're socialists. They're not democratic socialists. They actually want to implement Marxism.
Well, that's what I said. They're trying to sanitize what they actually are by calling themselves Democrat socialists.
But they'll self-implode before they get a chance to shine because their policies are so asinine, they will never work.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you on that. Joan, back me up here or agree with Sam. You say that, Sam, but how long has Mamdani been in power so far in New York? And look what the hell just happened in New York. This
is New York. New York's not the rest of the country. I wouldn't use that as a sample size. Your Ohio take, right? Picking a flyover state, big city there, that would be a different experiment. But New York is the loudest echo chamber of stupid ideas in the entire country.
I wonder how many of these Democrat socialists will ultimately end up in the next 4 years, right? You got the midterms, then you got the general election. So we have people in places like Chicago and Dallas and San Antonio So I use Ohio as an example, but I mean, you could use any of these Democrat-run cities. And I could see the same thing happening in those cities. And then you're going to have all of these Democrats who are socialists and radicals at that. So
then you'll have people fleeing because they can't afford to live there, or crime is too high because they won't jail anybody. The businesses are going to pack up and move. The one thing that this hat trick is going to really spell out for people is you start watching who is starting to move to Texas, what companies are going to be planning to move to Florida. That is, if I'm an executive in New York,
right,
that's where I'm already thinking after this hat trick.
So there is obviously a lot more to talk about with this. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Still working on it this morning. That paving construction going on this morning on 24 eastbound in the Jolton area. So you've got the area between New Hope Road and Whites Creek Pike a mess this morning because there's only one lane open to traffic. Schedule your time accordingly because of it. Otherwise, on the roads, it looks pretty good this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Mostly cloudy today and a high of 87. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So all three of these candidates, we're talking about Mamdani's hat trick, all three of these candidates should be considered anti-Israel as well. That has been a big part of their platform. Brad Todd over at CNN says, congratulations, Democrats. You now own this brand of Democrat socialism.
They're pulling the brand leftward. I mean, the Democratic Party now is the Democratic Socialist Party of America. They're for anti-Semitism. They're for confiscation. They're against capitalism.
Come on, we're
this
for
is what's
anti-Semitism.
This
That's
is what's
obscene.
happening.
That's
This is
an
what's
obscene
happening.
statement.
And you know, you also can look tonight and see somebody else is a big loser. That's Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is going to lose these races in New York, where Zoran Mamdani
He didn't endorse in these races.
He did endorse. He endorsed Goldman. He endorsed his incumbent members of Congress. If he can't get the Hispanic caucus chairman across the line in a city where he's the leading figure of the political machine, then his stick is very short in the U.S. Capitol. And that's because Hakeem Jeffries himself, as liberal as he is not far left enough for today's Democratic primary voters.
It's not about being far left.
He was fine in his race.
The Democratic Socialist Party of America's critique is that the Democratic Party is
you just made a statement about.
Let the screaming begin. You know what I wonder, Joan? You know what I wonder, Sam? How much do these people make over there at CNN? Because one of those nut job left-leaning commentators said, Hakeem Jeffries, he didn't endorse the incumbents. Yes, he did. So I don't know where it is that these folks get their research from. I'd be willing to bet that stupid show on CNN, Abby Phillips' show, I bet you they've got like dozens of producers. And that one commentator said, well, Hakeem Jeffries did not endorse those incumbents, when the audio is out there everywhere where he is literally saying that he endorses those candidates. So they're spreading a bunch of falsehoods on CNN. And I do like what, Brad Todd said. I like what he says, which is, Democrats are now going to have to own this brand, and the Republicans have to make sure that they do.
And Jeffries also endorsed Zoran Mamdani. So, I mean, he's in. He's in.
I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah.
Jeffries didn't have a choice. I think that's part of that conversation, too.
So they make about $50,000 a year to get up there and lie.
God, can you imagine that?
As a part-time contributor, which and that particular cut from whatever Abby Phillips show, I mean, it was not very balanced. You had one guy, and the rest of them were women.
You always have one guy against like 4 or 5, liberals, and their heads are on fire.
Well, yes, but in this particular instance, it's one guy versus 4 or 5 women.
Yeah. I didn't see the gender makeup of all of that, but okay, that is incredibly outmatched.
Yeah,
I would say,
and no one brought anything worthwhile to the table against him.
Do you know what's interesting? Joan, Sam, am I wrong on this? And I could be, but is there any Republican or conservative women that do battle on CNN, or is it all of these, female Democrats, according to Sam. I really don't know. I don't watch CNN a lot. Scott Jennings, by the way, was also on CNN, and he had some pretty hot takes on this as well.
I'm surprised you sort of glossed over the main issue in this race, which is Israel. I mean, Dan Goldman is a congressman, and he's Jewish, and he went into a coffee shop this weekend in Brooklyn, and they said, you're not welcome here anymore. Brad Lander is out speaking in mosques, telling those people that he'd like to go align himself with Ilhan Omar and the rest of the squad. Dan Goldman's only sin, I guess, is that he thinks Israel has a right to exist. And for that, that has been the principal issue in this. And you've got the mayor of New York City, Mamdani, out saying about AIPAC and Jewish Americans who have participated in our politics that they are, quote, monsters. What is happening right now in New York City, the Democrat socialist takeover of the Democratic Party, should frighten not just Jewish Americans, but all Americans everywhere, because this is the direction the Democrats are headed nationally. Look what's happening in Michigan, and it is frightening. Throwing Democrat Jewish congressmen out of coffee shops in Brooklyn, New York, it's not 1930s Germany. This is the United States of America.
Yeah, there you go. Scott Jennings.
The DOJ has launched an investigation into the coffee shop.
Have they really?
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
It's 100%
They
discrimination.
Okay, so on the question of conservative women on CNN,
Go.
Unbelievably, they list Essie Cupp as being one of the conservative women.
And Anna Navarro.
And Anna Navarro.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness
Only
gracious.
other-
Come on,
Seriously.
CNN. Pull your head out of your arse.
The only other women that they mention here is Alice Stewart, who has passed away, and Sarah Matthews, the former Trump White House deputy secretary. I haven't seen an episode with her on it.
I've never seen.
They also mentioned Kristen Soltis Anderson. I don't know who she is.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe CNN has a problem with conservative women.
Do you think? They don't have any problem with liberal, white, crazy women.
No.
Who openly lie about who Hakeem Jeffries did or didn't endorse.
Well, yeah, because what they were trying to do, I don't know if she intentionally lied or if she was ignorant, intentionally ignorant, whatever. But what she was trying to do, whoever that was, I guess they don't care enough to look up who she was. And they didn't care enough about her to put up her name on the screen. But she's trying to soften the impact. All of them, actually, were trying to soften the impact of what Mamdani's hat trick in New York actually means. By the way, you heard Scott Jennings say and talk about what's going on in Michigan. That's Abdul El Sayed or Sayed. What is it? Sayed or Sayed?
Sayed.
Who is running for the Senate. Dude is clearly anti-Israel. Refuses to say whether or not Israel has a right to exist, which means that he feels that Israel does not have a right to exist, and called Israel's government evil like Hamas. Among many other things, he also campaigns with Hassan Piker. So, yeah, this is now officially the Democrat Party. They're now the Socialist Democrat Party, or maybe we should just call them the socialists. But the big question is, okay, so how is this going to impact the midterms or the balance of power? In the House, I don't think it will impact the balance of power because these are Democrat seats that are just going to the more radical socialists in the end. This could actually, again, help Republicans if they lose the House because Jeffries will have to deal with these lunatics. But on the campaign trail, I think this will help Republicans because they can campaign on keeping the socialists in check in the House of Representatives and the Senate as well. That is not just a talking point. That is a true campaign. These people are going to win their House seats in New York. This was just a primary, but they're obviously going to win. So conservatives need to be able to thwart their attempted power grab. The Democrats have to live with this brand, and it's something that the establishment wing of the Democrat Party, they're going to have to figure out how to deal with this. And you did hear Scott Jennings say, this is all about Israel, and I get that. There's a difference between having serious questions about Benjamin Netanyahu on policy, his relationship with Donald Trump in America, and the war in Iran, but to campaign on statements like he's just as bad as Hamas, and the Israeli government is just as bad as Hamas, that is absolutely despicable, disgusting behavior on these three candidates.
I have an update for you.
Yes.
So I just looked at Axios because I wondered about that whole Hakeem Jeffries thing. It turns out that Mamdani was behind Brad Lander, but Jeffries backed Dan Goldman.
Right.
Okay, so that's one that maybe that's what she was referring to on CNN. That Jeffries backed Dan Goldman. And he lost?
Yes, Jeffries did back Dan Goldman. Well, Jeffries backed every single one of the incumbents. Dan Goldman was an incumbent.
Correct. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I don't know. I think Schumer's in trouble. I think Hakeem Jeffries is in trouble.
Yes.
I think that this is going to be really fun to watch, although it's going to really suck if the Democrats end up getting the control of the House.
Don't forget on Saeed, he's the one that said that J.D. Vance has brown kids who he thinks are less American than everyone else. He's also a racist.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, all these people are anti-Semitic and the rest of it. So, yeah, this is what the Democrats are these days, folks. Hate to say it, the radicals are taking over. All right, it is 5:26. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan has the news coming up at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, he was supposed to be helping bank customers, but police have now arrested a local clerk and charged him with stealing his customers' funds. That story's coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. It's 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Cloudy for today. Not too humid, too. We'll get a high of around 87. Metro police have arrested a bank clerk accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from a couple of customers. Police say they had been investigating Carl Richardson for months. Managers at the Bank of America branch along Harding Pike alerted police after finding Richardson made unauthorized withdrawals from elderly customers' bank accounts, and in some cases would hand over less cash than a customer would ask for, pocketing the rest. The combined losses totaled nearly $140,000. Candidates endorsed by President Trump won sweeping victories last night in the primary elections ahead of November. Trump-backed candidates winning from Maryland to Utah. It was also a big night for New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
In New York, Mamdani's growing influence now in the spotlight.
He brings a vision of politics that is more than what we've seen for so long.
All three candidates he endorsed coming out victorious, raising questions about whether Mamdani's far-left politics can translate into national momentum. Republicans reacting, saying the Democrat establishment officially surrendered to Zohran Mamdani and the socialist wing of their party.
Socialist, communist, they're interchangeable here. That is ABC's Lionel Moise. And the Justice Department announcing one of its biggest healthcare fraud crackdowns ever. More than 450 people facing charges connected to $6 billion in alleged scams involving taxpayer money.
In one case, a nurse practitioner allegedly ran a $900 million scheme, billing Medicare for unnecessary skin grafts. Officials say she took that money and bought an $800,000 necklace, a Ferrari, and a luxury vacation. The FBI also announced two more suspects on its most wanted fraudsters list, allegedly connected to nearly $700 million in medical testing schemes.
That's ABC's Karen Wah. That is the latest news. Traffic's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Doesn't look so bad now on 24 eastbound through the Jolton area. Maybe they've picked it up. Maybe they've picked up that paving work this morning. You have a crash to deal with on 65 North. It's in the West Loop area, just past I-40 West. It's a crash, and the two right lanes are blocked off by it. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Okay, so we're going to try something new today. I'm not sure if I should say it's against my better judgment or not, but Joan has picked a bunch of topics. It's going to be like fun with audio, but it's going to be fun with video. So we've got video to all of these things. Sam is unfamiliar with the topics. I am somewhat unfamiliar with them. Some of these I have a passing knowledge of, but we're just going to comment on them, and no research, no real thought behind what I'm going to say in response to these. Lord help us. So, Joan, take it away. We've got one video. By the way, 615-737-9986.
Let me ask you a question before we begin. Do I need to do it in order that I put them? Okay. Oh, I can do it in any order.
Yeah, just the first one needs to be what we discussed.
Yes. Okay. So let's go to the last one, because I think this is the most it's so interesting. We've talked about how much the left is so crazed about what's happening with the algae in the reflecting pool. And I saw last night that they've begun to put up fencing to keep the leftists out of the pool.
Yes, they sure have. Is there audio? Is there audio with this
now,
video?
With this one, there is no audio. So you can just play it, and it's just, we'll kind of do a play-by-play. But what's happening in this video is that this woman bends down, and she's got her phone, and she does something at the reflecting pool. She's just playing, has a hat on. She looks like she's maybe a visitor, right?
Sure.
So she bends down and she's doing something at the reflecting pool, and a guy walks up and starts talking to her about it. Hey, as it turns out, he's a plainclothes policeman.
Love it.
Yes, and that's what they're doing now. And in the end, this woman with beautiful curly blonde hair gets busted, and she's arrested. She's got her hands behind her back, and she's complaining, pretty vociferously.
Wah.
Yeah. That she's, I wasn't doing anything. I was just taking pictures.
How dare you?
How dare. So, yeah, she's been busted. And I think it's very interesting that now, the effort to keep the left out of the reflecting pool and not in the business of growing gunk in our nation's capital.
Do you know that there is actually, and I don't have it, maybe you can find it, Sam, but there is on my feed yesterday, there are now leftists talking to the algae.
Yes.
You know how you're supposed to talk to plants?
Do you talk to your hydrangeas?
No, I don't talk to my hydrangeas.
I'm just wondering. Okay.
Very much like my wife, nobody wants to talk to me.
He reads them stories.
One day there was a little hydrangea that wanted to grow up to be a big hydrangea. No. But they are. They're actually, they're in their frog costumes, Joan, that we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
And they are talking to the algae. They're trying to talk the algae into growing quickly. So I do love the fact that now they are putting up fencing. And how sad is it that this is what we have to do?
Plainclothes policemen.
Plainclothes policemen.
Bust people.
Well, and Joan, the other reason why they need plainclothes policemen is because you got all of these nut jobs that are harassing law enforcement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I don't know what the latest is. I know that Donald Trump basically said it's going to be fixed. They, by the way, do now have video of the person that cut the lining. Now, it's grainy video, and it's far away, but you can see the person pulls out some sort of a sharp instrument and cuts the lining.
I love that President Trump has been saying, hey, I have photographic evidence. I have photographic. And the left, especially CNN, has been out there saying, President Trump is saying without evidence that there's somebody that has cut the lining of the... They're such idiots. Blah.
I'm so tired of the without evidence.
Yeah.
Because, they never talk about their own stories that they have, Russian collusion, that's been in the news. And so
Joe Biden is running circles around all of them without evidence.
I mean, you know what?
Show me the circle he ran around.
For 4 years, it was very clear that there was no evidence that Joe Biden was operating on all of his faculties, yet the media never called that out. So anyway, So I love that story.
Let's go to and I know you've got more of that coming up too. So the next one up from that is a story about, we've been talking about the San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
And how they told their guys that they're not allowed to have Bible verses on their pride hats.
Mm-hmm.
And then they walked that back. Of course, the press has made it just a mockery of the whole thing.
Because the media is obviously very pro Pride Night in the Major League Baseball stadiums. The sports media, and I don't know about the people around here, but by and large, there's a lot of liberals in the sports media and in the media, generally speaking. So you had the San Francisco Giants, and there were some others. We talked about some of this yesterday, who wrote Bible verses basically over the gay pride logo or whatever it is on their hats. And the Major League Baseball was going to fine these guys, specifically on the San Francisco Giants. That was the one where it made the most media headlines.
And so now they're walking it back. And Buster Posey came out yesterday, and he wanted to talk about last night's baseball game.
Mm-hmm.
And the press. Now, Buster Posey is the Giants' president of baseball operations, former player, and he said he was going to take questions about the game only. And the liberal media just beat him up because they wanted to know more about Pride Night. And just take a listen to the angle at which the press comes at these questions about. Go ahead.
All right.
Did you object to those nights when you were a player? And also, did you or anyone from the organization talk to Tony, talk to the players, and explain the importance of this demographic to your business, the importance of this evening for the fans?
I mentioned that I'm not going to revisit it. So if you want to ask baseball questions, I'll answer baseball questions.
I love that. I'll let the rest play.
The importance of this night to the fans.
Oh, it's so important. I'd be willing to bet, and maybe it's different in San Francisco, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet that the majority of the San Francisco Giants fans, they don't care. They probably didn't even know that it was Pride Night. And because, a lot of the sports talk stations actually don't talk about the political aspects of sports. So I love that he's like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about this. I've addressed it. And Joan, as you know, and as Sam knows, and as I know, the media will hound you with the same repetitive questions until you actually give them some semblance, Sam, of an answer.
Well, and it's not that, the talk stations aren't talking about politics. It's that they're not talking about sex. Like, it's what this boils down to. You don't see the heteronormative side of things addressing this because we don't care.
Well,
the
yourself.
To your point. Okay, so where's the I'm a straight male night or a straight female,
or even just a men's mental health night?
Yeah, I'm a heterosexual night thing. You know what I mean? Like they don't do that, and so I think and as we've talked about many times, there are how many did we realize, Sam? How many nights, and Joan, are there of federally, the gay pride, the bisexual awareness, all of that? I mean, it's
something like a total of 4 months out of the year.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, here's more Buster Posey.
You plan to reach out to the gay community about any of this or no?
Again, if you want to go baseball questions, I made my statement on it. I'll answer baseball questions.
But you have no response to the commissioner saying inadequate and unclear communication?
I'll answer baseball questions. Is that respect? I believe so, yeah.
Buster, why do you want to only answer baseball questions? There are some very important matters that the public is debating outside this organization.
Okay, so the first reporter and then this reporter, both are saying this is a very important matter. I would ask, to who?
To whom? Oh, put an M on the end. To
whatever.
whom?
To whom? Yeah, I mean...
To the kids who are suffering from Munchausen by proxy from their parents that are trying to trans them.
Also known as groomers, parent groomers.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer baseball questions.
Do you feel it's not your job as the baseball president?
Oh my God!
I know. It's not your job.
This is
Baseball operations? I mean, is this something we should be talking to Larry about?
You know, if I'm Buster Posey, I'm going to say, what is it that you don't understand? Like, how is it you don't understand? And if you're watching on Super Talk TV on YouTube or Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, 997WTN.com, all that, he has taken a deep breath, right? Like, oh my God, I can't believe they're asking me this again. And I want to see what he says here.
Guys, we just need to keep it baseball.
Okay, so now the press person for the team has stepped in because Posey's looking at the guy outside of the scrum like, dude, can you help me here?
Related or...
Well, you guys have made this baseball related because you had Pride Night. You allowed players onto the field that MLB said should not have had writing on their caps, violated MLB rules. Then MLB said that you guys didn't communicate with the players properly, that they didn't have to wear the hat. So there's been no response about that.
We get it. Buster made his statement. If you guys have any baseball questions, he can answer those, or we're going to be done.
And they were probably done.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sam says he's got some supporting audio here, Joan.
It just gives Marshawn Lynch vibes. If you remember the Super Bowl, Seattle and New England.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to.
Ask them.
I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
You know what I love about that audio clip? The one thing that Marshawn Lynch and I have in common, we have both been grammar policed by Joan Jones. It's whom?
Well,
Mandis?
You hear that reporter, which, by the way, the one that kept hounding him about, well, you made this a thing.
Yeah.
Check that guy's hard drive. They're mad because they do have the option not to wear the rainbow hat. They can wear the normal team hat. Mm-hmm. So he's mad that they wore the rainbow hat and they wrote the Genesis verse about the rainbow on it.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think we should check his hard drive.
Well, bottom line is that the media, as usual, is trying to make this more important to the American people than it really is. And that goes back to so many different topics. I mean, you could talk about the media selling Russian collusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The media is always trying to sell some sort of a narrative, Russian collusion. We could talk about, Joe Biden is sharp as a tack. We could talk about the administration says the border is secure. We could talk about all of those things.
It comes
you
under
won't
the heading.
get COVID if you take this vaccine.
Right. It comes under the heading of you don't hate the media enough.
Right.
Except us. We're different. Put us in a different box.
We're not. I don't think we're part of the mainstream media.
We're not.
Although there's some haters out there that would say, oh, you're just like the mainstream media.
Mandis, you establishment shill.
Oh my goodness! Believe it or not, I've been called many things. I think I find that actually the most insulting. Anyway, all right, we got time for one more. Which one do you want to do?
Okay, so let's do. Let's do the first one, and this comes under the heading of this whole idea of the Islamification of the United States and how it is so insane. Now, this man who I don't know him. But it was posted by somebody who I do follow, and he's talking about how the left has just eaten its own. So run this.
All right, here's this.
An all-Muslim city council and mayor, and now they've taken down all the pride flags. One of the best examples, I think, of suicidal empathy happening in real time is a town in Michigan called Hamtramck, and I believe it was the first town in the United States that authorized the Muslim call to prayer in the morning. The liberal people in that town wanted to protect Muslim rights. There was a whole bunch of people from Bangladesh and I think Armenia coming into the town, and these were the people who were very much pro-LGBTQ++. So they welcomed tons of refugees into their small town, who eventually became the majority. And then what happened is you got the first mayor from this country. City council became all Muslim. It's an example of you have to be careful of the unintended consequences of good intentions. Because what happened in that town this year is that they banned the pride flag. So now
it's suicidal empathy.
I love that frame. So if you missed what happened, you had all the leftists. They've got their pride flags everywhere in the town. Then they welcome in all of these Muslims. The Muslims become powerful in the town, and they ban the pride flags.
Yep.
So much for freedom of expression in America, right?
It's insanity.
Suicidal empathy.
Mhm.
Is there any more to this? Should I play the rest of this, Joan?
No, I think we set it up there, and it pretty much explains it.
All right. So Sam now has the audio of.
I sent you the video if you want the video of it, because you're right. They're standing right up next, which, by the way, they've got a giant trans flag for whatever reason out at the reflecting pool.
Where is this? Oh, in Washington, D.C. Is that what you're talking about?
It's at the reflecting pool.
Okay.
All right, I got video. So they're also dressed really bizarrely. This woman is wearing like short, floody jeans and then some sort of a green plastic bag and then a bizarre green shirt that looks like it's cut. How would you describe that, Joan? Can you see? Are you watching Super Talk TV?
Clown wear.
Okay, clown wear. She's also got a purple hair.
Oh, she is doing good today, honey. Team Algae, everybody's proud of you.
Oh my God.
You are single-handedly doing more to fight fascism than any American has.
Oh my gosh.
The algae is fighting fascism,
Yes.
according to the left.
Actually, she's right, because, it's non-existent. It's not a real thing. So it is actually doing more.
Yeah, Algae! Woo! Algae!
Oh my goodness gracious.
Wow.
And they had to bring their trans flag to this thing for whatever reason. Are they trying to trans the algae now?
Is the algae surprise me?
Is the algae not gay enough for you? It's spelled that way.
Anyway, so can they give the algae a what did we talk about yesterday, Joan? The 1 inch. Oh, what do you call it?
The
bangs,
feminist,
the 1 inch bangs.
The feminist bowl cut.
Yes.
Yeah, the feminist,
Does she have that?
weird feminist bowl cut that we've seen that is
Yeah.
emblematic of insanity in this country now. So anyway, all right. Well, that was fun. I don't know, Sam. Should we keep doing this?
Yeah.
So,
kinda like this.
In case you joined us right in the middle of that whole segment, fun with audio and video. Joan picked out the stories, and I was somewhat unfamiliar with some of them, so we just kind of riffed on them, and I think that turned out well. 5:54. So well done, Joan Jones.
Thank you, sir.
I think you did a lot better job than the algae.
At least I'm not being yelled at by a crazy woman.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Not yet, at least.
I was going to say, you might want to check out the super text line. You
Yeah.
never quite know over there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is 5:54. Joan's got the news at 6. Joan.
The DOJ just did this big fraud bust. There was a local doctor who was caught up in that. We've got that story coming up here at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:59, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, you'll love this. Matt Walsh has tweeted this out. Chicago's clown mayor Brandon Johnson declared a state of emergency over the alleged epidemic of trans people being murdered in the city.
Oh, my gosh.
Pop quiz. Can you guess how many trans people were murdered in the entire state of Illinois last year?
I would say none.
None. There were no trans people murdered in Illinois in 2025, so I don't know why there needs to be a state of emergency. Meantime, was it last weekend? 39 shot, 6 fatally.
Yes.
In the city of Chicago.
I don't see him making any noise about that.
Where's the state of emergency over these people being killed? And more than likely it was gang violence, whatever.
But Dan, it's the jail's fault.
I know. It's the cops' fault. It's the jail's fault. It's our addiction to jailing, Joan.
Yes.
That's why the gunfire keeps happening in Chicago and all of these Democrat cities around the country. It is 6 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A former Clarksville doctor has been swept up in a healthcare crackdown by the federal government. Fox 17's Karen Aguilar says he's one of 455 defendants who were charged yesterday.
Federal prosecutors are concerned doctors overprescribing drugs harms patients by getting them hooked, which then they say causes taxpayer-funded programs to pay for those drugs.
Federal court documents accuse Ramon Aquino of prescribing drugs such as opioids in excessive and inappropriate quantities and claims some were without medical necessity, causing patients to abuse, misuse, and become addicted to the drugs. Over a 7-year period from 2017 to 2024, Aquino is accused of prescribing 43,103 prescriptions, 525,519 pills of narcotics, and 569,455 pills of anti-anxiety drugs.
The Department of Justice says the fraud schemes in total racked up $6.5 billion. The head of the UN's nuclear agency is saying that Iranian nuclear enrichment sites must be visited by his inspectors. It's a key component, he said, in the interim deal between the U.S. and Iran to reach an end to the war. Here's International Atomic Energy Agency head Rafael Grossi.
Paragraph 8 of this Memorandum of Understanding says explicitly that the nuclear activities that are going to be carried out with regards to the nuclear material facilities and will be supervised by the IAEA.
That's him speaking today in Japan. And you can't make this stuff up. A man and a woman in London, Kentucky, arrested after police noticed their car parked in an employees-only parking space last Thursday. So police scope out their car and they spot a bag in the back seat that had a big label on it. It said, "Definitely not a bag full of drugs." Turns out it contained meth, pot, and drug paraphernalia.
All right, so I want this to be Nashville's Morning News submission for Nincompoops in the News this afternoon.
I love that.
So
they can't have it. This is ours.
That's exactly right.
And they have to give us the crown if we win.
Is there a way that we can have an absentee submission? Because I'm usually asleep by the time they do it. But I think this would be...
A mail-in ballot, you say?
We need a mail-in ballot or a mail-in submission for the Nincompoops in the News.
Yeah. Okay. I will address... I think maybe you should address it with Matt. That's who does this, right?
Sure, that's
Okay.
I'm sure he'll allow us to invade his great segment. Anyway, moving on.
Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
A global sell-off in tech shares rattled U.S. markets Tuesday. The Dow Jones slipped 46 points to close at 51,667. The S&P took a 1.5% hit. The Nasdaq tumbled 2.2%. Futures suggest a partial recovery at the opening today. Would-be home Homeowners riding a mortgage rate yo-yo found the average 30-year note rising above 6.5% after the start of the U.S.-Iran war. Last week, rates were down, but jumped again this week to nearly 6.7%. The fighting in the Middle East has also dealt a sucker punch to the cruise industry. Even as fuel prices have risen, Carnival says bookings, particularly in the Mediterranean, have fallen off, cutting into company profits. Dairy Queen is celebrating the nation's 250th birthday with a new menu offering. The Stars and Stripe Misty Slush Float has layers of red cherry slush, white vanilla ice cream, and blue raspberry slush with star sprinkles on top. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Sounds like breakfast. Right now, Dow futures are down 52, NASDAQ futures up 138, the S&P futures gaining 11. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of slowdown now on 24 westbound through Laverne into Nashville. Also on 65 southbound in the Millersville through Goodlettsville area this morning. That looks pretty slow as well. 40 checks out okay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. And welcome on in to your Wednesday, June 24th. Phil Williams from Channel 5 has done what I would say is a hit piece on Monty Fritz. Now, y'all know Monty appeared on this show, I think it was right before I went on vacation. Great interview, hour long. We talked about a number of different topics, and I was very impressed with Monty's interview. I really enjoyed having him on. Same with John Rose. So earlier this week, Phil had this piece on Monty Fritz, and I want to go through some of this just because I think that there's some things that need to be addressed, and I think there's some things that need to be called out, but also there are some questions that I think deserve to be answered as well. We all know that Phil has been on this crusade against white nationalism in Tennessee, and I think he's calling it when hate comes to Main Street or something like that. But he's been targeting Monty Fritz, who is running for governor, as you know, and he has been, very upfront about his faith and his Christianity. So I saw this headline on Channel 5's website. He despises Jews, admires Hitler. Now he's starring in videos for a Tennessee candidate for governor. The second I saw this, I knew that this was a hit piece on Monty Fritz, right? So the piece that ran on TV talks about this guy. His name is Dane Chisholm. Now, I'm going to say he is a reprehensible guy who has said all kinds of things that I would consider very bad. But here's some of the piece that ran last night or earlier this week. I don't know if it was last night, but earlier this week on Channel 5.
You guys are smart. You'll vote for Monty Fritz, Christian constitutional conservative.
He is the star of a pair of social media videos for Tennessee gubernatorial candidate Monty Fritz. But who is he? Tonight, an exclusive News Channel 5 investigation uncovers that man's troubling history of racism and anti-Semitism.
And if you have any doubt, consider this. That star in those Monty Fritz videos thinks Adolf Hitler was a great man. News Channel 5 chief investigative reporter Phil Williams has been digging into the story behind the videos. Question is, did the Fritz campaign pay for those videos?
Well, the star of those videos tells me he produced them as part of Monty Fritz's team of campaign volunteers. The question is, did the Republican candidate for governor know about this man's controversial views?
All right, so that's how it was framed on Channel 5 this week. But notice how this is edited. It's edited together. This guy Chisholm saying horrific things, and in this next cut, they tie in Nick Fuentes and his statements with this guy's support for Monty Fritz. Listen very closely.
Yet I had questions after Fritz's campaign began posting these videos on social media.
Yeah, check them out. Monty Fritz.
From a bearded man wearing an America First cap. On the back of the cap, the initials for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
What Hitler represents is if white people didn't give a
Fuentes is the white nationalist anti-Semitic figure whose followers are known as Groypers.
And if you guys are smart, you'll vote for Monty Fritz, Christian constitutional conservative. He don't take no money from Israel.
And that man in the Monty Fritz video I discovered is Dane Chisholm from East Tennessee. On X, he describes himself as a Christian who fearlessly speaks the truth. And Monty Fritz, the candidate for governor, follows him.
All right, so again, you'll notice that it seems to me like what Phil is trying to do is tie Nick Fuentes and this guy Dane Chisholm with Monty Fritz. Now, all Monty is doing is, number one, following him on Twitter. And just because you follow someone or you repost their tweets is not a sign that you agree with their statements or support their statements, their worldview, or their ideology. It just doesn't. I think I follow the two Justins on X because I want to know what they're up to. Also, you know how many followers this dude, Dane Chisholm, has on Twitter? 1,744. That's not a lot. If you're not on X, that's not a lot. But, Phil, he decided to read some of his tweets.
On Easter, Chisholm posted this video comparing Hitler to Jesus. Here posting that Hitler was a great man. We've been lied to. We know it. Here saying the Nazi leader's actions were justified by the necessity of security or defense of his people, to which Jews were internationally plotting to destroy. Here suggesting COVID was part of a Jewish plot. Here that the Jews did kill Jesus and they have been a malevolent force throughout history. Here he posted, Jews only lie when they breathe, telling one person, quote, shut up, Jew rat.
All right, so the question from Channel 5 is, did Monty Fritz know who this guy was? I would say probably not. Also, by the way, this guy is a volunteer. Now, I have no idea what that actually entails, but he did produce a couple of videos that he posted to his social media, and the Fritz campaign posted to theirs as well. It is, though, important to note that the content that Fritz posted, the content of the videos that Fritz posted to his socials, has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It has to do with what I think is a very legitimate question. I have some video here. This is, by the way, the video that Channel 5 used on their website to talk about what it is that Dane Chisholm had produced, not for Monty Fritz, but about Monty Fritz.
Dominic, let me ask you one simple question. Do you believe that people who are running for governor ought to stand up and debate their beliefs in front of the populace before the election?
Yes, sir.
And you would say that's just kind of common sense, right?
Yeah.
And you would say that if somebody wasn't willing to do that, they probably shouldn't get our vote?
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate you. God bless you. So we're going around downtown Knoxville today asking people if they think that people who are running for governor ought at least debate their principles and their beliefs for the public before the election happens.
I think they should.
Yeah, all right. I mean, very simple question. And that is clearly a knock at Marsha Blackburn, Senator Marsha Blackburn, who will not debate in this gubernatorial race. But look, that's the example the Channel 5 posted in their online report. And this, from what I can tell, is what Monty Fritz reposted, or his campaign reposted to his socials, not sure about his website. And it's a roughly 3-minute video of Dane Chisholm basically going around and simply asking that question. He also talks about Monty not accepting money from PACs. This is also part of that same video.
I think you should look into Monty Fritz, and there's 2 reasons why. One, he's extremely constitutional, and he's for the people. He's not a career politician, and he takes 0 foreign funding. 0 money from APAC, 0 money from big PACs, 0 money from big pharma. So you would think somebody who doesn't take a bunch of PAC money is probably less of a slave to the establishment than the others, right?
I would think so.
I appreciate you.
All right, so, I mean, that was the gist of the video. He makes these videos. I don't know how the videos ended up going to the campaign. Apparently, they post the videos. Then we find out the dude clearly is anti-Semitic. The question is, did Monty know that this guy had these anti-Semitic views, or was it just, oh, look, this guy has walked around talking to the people of Nashville about Senator Marsha Blackburn not debating, and they didn't do any further investigation into this guy's background? And by the way, that is a legitimate question. Because if they did know about this dude's background and they still posted the videos, well, then that would be a question you would have for Monty Fritz. Did you know? And maybe was it a mistake to post the videos? And that's something only Monty Fritz in the campaign. And by the way, I've reached out to them. But I can't say this enough. Dane Chisholm has 1,744 followers on X. And so Phil, Channel 5, keeps breathlessly reporting about how white nationalism is on the rise here in Tennessee and anti-Semitism and all of this. If that's the case, this dude is in the state of Tennessee. Why doesn't he have a massive following if that's the case in Tennessee, that white nationalism and all this anti-Semitism is on the rise on the right? 1,744. And listen, I'm not knocking, dude's Twitter following, whatever. And we all have a right to say whatever it is that we want. We can go ahead and express to the world just how ignorant we are. And that, in my opinion, is what he's doing. I don't agree with any of the things that he said. By the way, I have not looked at any of his other videos. Some of the things that Phil read, maybe they're taken out of context. I have no idea. By the way, Dane Chisholm did comment on the report on Channel 5. Here's what he said. There are few intentional lies in this report that are irrelevant and typical, he says, but there's one that I will not ignore. He said, I would never compare Jesus Christ with any man. There is no such thing. Christ is King of kings and Lord of lords, the Savior of all mankind, perfect and incomparable to any man before or after him. He says, I in no way compared the attributes, character, person, etc. of Jesus Christ to Adolf Hitler. I don't know this dude from Adam. I don't. I get sort of where Phil is going, but I think he's making a leap and he's trying to tie this guy's support to Monty Fritz, and then you bring in Nick Fuentes, and he's really trying to make it seem like, okay, so Monty Fritz clearly is a bad guy because he has the support of Dane Chisholm and he supports Nick Fuentes, right? So I think that it's a legit question to ask about whether or not Monty knew this guy's background when he posted the video. That's a legit question, but it does seem to me that Phil does take it a step further.
So if white nationalism's on the rise in Tennessee, why did you have to go all the way out to Knoxville to find it?
Oh, that's the other thing that we keep talking about.
As like, a Nashville investigative reporter.
So it's taking an award-winning investigative reporter, and used to be one of the best around, in my opinion, and it's taking an investigative reporter to unearth all of the anti-Semitism and white nationalism and all of this stuff. And by the way, there's a lot of that stuff going on the left, just so everybody knows.
Way more vitriolic, too.
You got people on the left that are all in on destroying Israel, destroying Israel's economy. I could go on and on. Look what just happened in New York with the Mamdani trifecta, where he's got not one, not two, but three anti-Semites who have won the Democrat primary in the state of New York. So there's a lot of that stuff going on the left, in my opinion, far more than on the right. And all of that to say, I also understand, before you start sending me the text messages, I know at 615-737-9986, I also understand that the dynamic between the Republican Party and Israel is changing, because there's a lot of Republicans who are incredibly frustrated with Benjamin Netanyahu and the relationship that we have with Israel. The $20 billion, I guess, if I remember right, the $20 billion that we give in aid every single year. We also give them a discount on the military that we give to Israel as well. A lot of people, including yours truly, are frustrated because every time we seem to get close to a compromise of some sort with Iran, then you've got Benjamin Netanyahu starts bombing Hezbollah in Lebanon, but realize that he is responding to being bombed by Hezbollah. So it's a very complicated conversation, but one that we continue to have here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. It is 6:21. Joan has the news coming up at 6:30. Joan, what do you got?
Yeah, President Trump and the Senate Republicans are about to have a pretty testy lunch today. We'll talk about that at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, whether we're talking about waterproofing, concrete leveling, or foundation repair, my friends at USS United Structural Systems, they are the absolute best here in the state of Tennessee. Now, you know that these types of issues, they do not get better over time. They get worse without the proper fix. You know that, they know that, and they are here to help. Now, they've helped me over the years with my foundation. I can tell you from my personal experience, they treated me right. Communication was outstanding. The work was excellent, and customer service was top-notch. That is why I love United Structural Systems. They've been helping Middle Tennesseans for a long time because they do it right, and they will treat you right. If you don't have the money right now for these fixes, they can help you with some special financing. You can get a 10% discount when you pay in full, or fix it now, pay later with 18 months, no payments and no interest. Or you can choose 36 months, no interest, with low payment options for qualified homeowners. So they are here to help you. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Find them online anytime. It is USSTN.com. Dan Mandis here. Credit card interest rates, they are now over 29%. Most people are only making the minimum payments, so they are getting nowhere. But here's what a lot of homeowners, maybe you, don't realize. Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit cards, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. Now, one client just got $100,000 approved, saved over $1,500 every single month. And here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone with zero out-of-pocket expenses, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, and no touching your first mortgage. Rates right now, they're near 3-year lows, so you've got to act right now. Go to loanpronto.com, see how much money you can get in about 60 seconds. Loan Pronto 2800. Google reviews cannot be wrong. 2,800 5-star Google reviews cannot be wrong. Call them 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. LoanPronto.com is the website, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, and MLSConsumerAccess.org. .625 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and good morning to you. All right, Joan, I've got a theory.
What is it?
I might be all wet on this one, so you people let me know. You remember when Joe Biden made Kamala Harris the border czar?
Yeah.
And then they left the border like wide open, and it was just... People were able to say Kamala Harris failed as the border czar as she was running for president. And she was really put, and I said this at the time, and I'm no fan of Kamala Harris, and I'm certainly no fan of Joe Biden. But it put her in a no-win situation. I'm kind of feeling like, and let me know, 615-737-9986. I'm kind of feeling like J.D. Vance has been put in this kind of a situation in dealing with the negotiations with Iran. Stay with me here, because you all know that I'm a big J.D. Vance fan. But there is no way that there's going to be a lot of people within the Republican Party that are going to be fans of whatever deal is ultimately negotiated with Iran, if they even come to an endpoint of the negotiations. Because every day it's one more train wreck, and there's a lot of people who used to be J.D. Vance fans are now saying that he is blowing these negotiations. Well, Donald Trump, and I like Donald Trump too, but Donald Trump sent J.D. Vance to negotiate with terrorists. So part of me is wondering if J.D. Vance has been put in this situation where it's a no-win. Marco Rubio is nowhere near this thing. I mean, yeah, I do understand. He gives the occasional interview. He gives the occasional comment. But as the Secretary of State, you would think that he would perhaps be more involved. But he's not. And so when the time comes for J.D. Vance versus Marco Rubio, and the Republican Party needs to perhaps make a decision between these two heading into the presidential election of 2028, who are you going to choose? The guy who many Republicans believe blew the whole Iran negotiation in J.D. Vance? Or Marco Rubio, that is seemingly, doing great things as the Secretary of State, really wasn't involved all that much in the discussions with Iran. So I'm just wondering if this was sort of an intentional thing for Donald Trump to give J.D. Vance something that seemingly is untenable and unwinnable situation because there's people inside of his administration that are pushing for Marco Rubio and don't want J.D. Vance. Now, I could be all wet on this one, but I'm listening to people and I'm talking to people and I am reading people that have been J.D. Vance fans that are now saying they're off the J.D. train because of this train wreck of negotiations with Iran. Which, by the way, whether or not these are train wreck negotiations or not is, just depends on your perspective and your point of view. I'm here to tell you, I talk to a lot of Republicans. I talk to a lot of conservatives. And they're not happy. They're not happy with the way the negotiations are going. They're not happy with the way that Donald Trump is conducting himself as J.D. Vance and Steve Witkoff and others, Jared Kushner, are trying to go through these negotiations. And so I'm just wondering if Donald Trump, either purposely or not purposely, has put J.D. Vance in a situation where it has impeded his ability to win the White House. Let me know what you think. 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. Got a lot more straight ahead.
Good morning at 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got your forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Tuesday's primaries ended with 3 wins for President Trump-backed candidates and 3 for New York City's communist mayor, Zohran Mamdani.
In New York's 7th congressional district, where Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez's seat was up for grabs, Brooklyn BP Antonio Reynoso fell short to Claire Valdez, a Democratic socialist and union organizer who picked up the endorsement of Mayor Mamdani. Here in the 10th congressional district, former city comptroller Brad Lander unseated Representative Dan Goldman. Lander was also endorsed by the mayor, while Goldman was endorsed by Democrats, including Governor Hochul.
That's ABC's Phil Tate. Meantime, President Trump is lunching with Senate Republicans today. It's an event proposed by Senators Mike Lee and Rick Scott, who align with the president on his desire to pass the Save America Act. Senate Majority Leader John Thune claims Republicans don't have the votes to get her done. Senator Lee wants Thune to bring it up on the floor and announce that it'll be debated until it passes, the same strategy that was used to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The Millersville City Commission has formally accepted the resignation of Commissioner David Gregory after a sex crimes investigation over the abuse of 3 young children was launched. Here's Mayor Lincoln Atwood.
We take these matters with the utmost seriousness. Please be assured that our city's operations remain stable, uninterrupted, and fully committed to the transparency and accountability you deserve.
David Gregory's bond was set at $750,000. That's the latest news. Your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. The real estate market has indeed shifted, and homes are staying on the market longer. If you are in this position, if maybe a family member, a friend, a neighbor is in this situation, my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate, they can help you right now. Their guaranteed offer is going to get you out of your home quick. You can kick off the summer stress-free, sell your home with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You're going to save time, make the most money, and eliminate all of that hassle. You know, they sell over 4 homes every single hour. Yours could be next. Now, that makes them the most experienced real estate team in America. You can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home hassle-free and for maximum value. You don't have to be stuck in your home. Call Mark Spain Real Estate. Now, listen, they're the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. 13,000 5-star reviews. You can trust my friends to sell your home fast and, yes, for maximum value. 855-299-SOLD is their phone number. Call them, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Get out of your home and onto the next stage of your life with Mark Spain Real Estate. 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Trouble on 65 North in Spring Hill. You've got a crash reported just past Saturn Parkway. Also, Ashland City Highway, north of Ed Harris Road. That's another scene of a crash this morning. And one more on 65 South in Portland. You've got an off-ramp partially blocked off there because of a crash. That off-ramp is to Orlinda Portland Road, exit number 117. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Democratic Party.
.637 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I did this whole conversation about whether or not Donald Trump was putting J.D. Vance. Maybe we should do a Daily Dan poll. You want to do a Daily Dan poll, Sam? So I did a segment, little bit, not a long segment, but whether or not J.D. Vance was put in an impossible, untenable position ahead of the 2028 presidential election, where he is now having to deal with Iran and negotiate with terrorists. And a lot of people would submit that the negotiations are not going well. And a lot of people actually agree with me on this on the super text line. Some disagree with me as well. More people actually, Sam and Joan, made fun of the fact that I utilized the term, maybe I'm all wet.
Yeah, I know. I saw that there was a little criticism.
Maybe the 1930s called, they want their phrase back.
Well, and I do cringe every time I hear it.
Maybe I should just say,
you have to say behind the ears.
Okay, maybe what I need to do is come up with something a little more hip to say than just I'm all wet. So maybe I'm wrong on this. Sam, you're the purveyor of all things hip in the studio, and Chris is not here, of course. I don't know what a better way to frame maybe I'm all wet on this.
Green?
No.
Maybe I'm all green on this.
All green?
No,
That
not
makes
green.
no
It doesn't.
sense.
No.
Whatever. You know what? You just lost cool points, Sam. Maybe I'm just wrong on this. I'll just go ahead and say that.
Possibly.
Maybe I'm wrong. But
By
let's
the way,
do it.
CNN has Rubio is in the Middle East to discuss Iran agreement.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So you know what? That whole entire segment is just for naught because Marco Rubio is now meeting. Well, he's meeting with the UAE president. He's not meeting. He's not meeting with the Iranians.
Yeah, he's trying to separate the Hezbollah and Israel issue from the Iran talks, but
which is going to be impossible to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So let's do a Daily Dan poll. Let's say that
was the Iran negotiation an impossible task for JD?
Will the Iran negotiation impact JD's chances in 2028? Let's do it like that. I must admit something, Joan. I don't know if I've lost my head or not, but for whatever reason, I thought we were coming up to the news, but we've already done the news and all of that. We're in the 6:30 segment now.
Wow.
6:39. This is how my day has been going, actually. Hey, did you see, just real quick, did you see the video, Joan? It was online of the very large, got some video here, Sam, of the very large woman in New York. This went viral over the when I was on vacation.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Where she is in New York, no audio, just video, but she is dumping mounds of trash. And by the way, she's ginormous as well.
It's a custom trash can to celebrate the Knicks championship. It's
yeah,
orange
so
and blue.
This trash can is filled. I mean, heaping trash, and it's a customized trash can. It's got the Knicks logo on it. And this was during the Knicks. They won, I guess, the basketball championship.
NBA Finals.
NBA Finals. So she decides that she is going to steal the trash can. And so you got people that are watching her steal the trash can as she dumps all of this garbage onto the streets of New York. Now, there's a lot of garbage on the streets of New York anyway, walking on it as well as, the papers and the cups and all that. Anyway, so she steals it. There's another photo of her, and I don't have that photo, but There's another photo of her where she is smiling, getting on the subway after stealing this trash can. Well, now the woman has been fired.
She's been fired.
Yeah. Disgusting behavior in New York and someone actually facing some consequences. So again, I saw all of this while I was gone. I was horrified. People in New York were horrified. People all over the country and the world were horrified at this woman.
I thought you were going to say behemoth.
Her name is Angie Baez.
I was going to call her a thing, and then I thought I shouldn't do that.
That's disrespectful to the Thing of the Fantastic Four.
So she was very proud of it. Again, she stole the trash can. And JP Morgan Chase, Angie Baez, 40, no longer employed by the banking giant as of Tuesday after footage, so yesterday, of the brazen parade day stunt exploded online. I would say, Joan, that it did explode online. I mean, it was crazy.
There was also a video of her on the train, giving the peace sign, ooh, look at me, I got it.
They say this employee is no longer with the company. A Chase spokesperson said in a statement to the Daily Mail. Do you know what her, the reason I find this such a delicious story is because she is such a leftist.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to get into what her jobs have been. But aren't leftists, I could be wrong on this, or all wet, but aren't leftists supposed to be like pro-environment and stuff? So
and pro-community.
So what this leftist did was she dumps all of this trash onto the streets of New York, thereby impacting in a negative way the environment that her side is supposed to embrace.
But Dan, where is she supposed to store her snacks in her studio New York City apartment?
Her job title was the Executive Director of Community and Industry Engagement for Card and Connected Commerce, according to her now deleted LinkedIn profile. That was her job at Chase.
It was within, by the way, you mentioned community. It was within the Consumer and Community Banking Division.
Okay. This
Listen,
incident.
She was there on her personal capacity. This was not on company time.
No,
this
no.
was just her doing her thing. And if you filmed her, it's your fault.
The incident was condemned by the New York City Department of Sanitation, which branded the behavior illegal, antisocial, and incredibly stupid.
How do you get the Department of Sanitation to call you out?
You know it's bad when random New York City departments start calling you out. Their exact quote, dumping trash onto the street and stealing public property for your own personal use are both illegal, antisocial behaviors and not what New Yorkers do, the department said in a statement. On top of all of that, doing both on camera is incredibly stupid. Baez had been promoted more than a year ago. Before that, she worked as executive director of diversity, equity, and inclusion at a place called The Infatuation, the New York-based restaurant review website acquired by Chase as part of its expansion into lifestyle and experiential content. So maybe, Sam, you keep commenting on her heft, to utilize a Joan Jones word.
Hefty.
Maybe she was, that was from too many restaurant reviews. I don't know. A biography on the Infatuation's website praises Baez's work in helping make the food media industry more equitable and describes her as one of the space's brightest voices.
Oh, she takes up some space, all right.
Baez also appears to have co-founded Same Page Co., or company, a queer and Black, Indigenous, and people of color-owned talent agency that says it is focused on improving representation and equity across media and industry. Earlier in her career, Baez held diversity and inclusion roles at Squarespace, Saks Fifth Avenue, Hudson's Bay, and Saks Off Fifth, according to an online biography. Do you know what I honestly want to know? What exactly do you do? Like, I'm genuinely curious. What exactly do you do if you are somebody who works in diversity and inclusion roles, right? Like, what do you do?
You tell white people that you're bad and you're inherently racist, and you promote people based on their skin color or their sexual orientation.
You create ridiculous video tutorials that employees have to spend their valuable time going through, wasting your time watching stupid stuff, and you have to do it, or your bosses are going to keep on bugging the snot out of you until you finish it.
Which, by the way, the executive director of community and industry engagement, that's just a fancy term for DEI executive.
Well, and I'm going to go back to the inconsistency where you're all about all of this leftist stuff, but you're dropping a bunch of trash onto the streets of New York.
She actually probably made somewhere between $250 and $380K a year. That's what JP Morgan Chase executives make.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So she could have just bought one. Even if we just drop it down to the base salary typically ranges from $170K to $260K.
So I always talk about this when people lose their jobs for doing stupid stuff. And the sanitation department said this was incredibly stupid. So why'd you leave your last job? You know what I mean? All right, we are way late for traffic. 6:47, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, mostly cloudy today and a high of 87. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, Super Talk 99.7, WTN. All right, it is 6:48. I do have some audio and video of Marco Rubio. Apparently, he is on his way to visit the United Arab Emirates to, I guess, begin conversations regarding what many would say, and I would say, the challenge. Some people would say the train wreck of the negotiations with Iran. I'm going to say that there's a lot of challenges. By the way, did we do the Daily Dan poll? Will J.D. Vance, and who I believe has been put in an untenable situation ahead of the 2028 presidential election, do you think that his performance, as we try to find a negotiated settlement with Iran, do you think this will impact his chances of being the presidential nominee for the Republicans in 2028?
It's a split audience this morning.
See, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is going to be split.
57% say no, the negotiations will not impact his 2028 chances, and 43% say yes, it will. So we're kind of in a toss-up situation as the votes roll in.
I think a lot of people recognize, I certainly do. Like, if I'm going to give an official talk show host opinion on this, I'm going to say that I recognize that JD has been put in an impossible situation, and so it would not impact my support for him in 2028. And I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for Marco Rubio, and I don't think that we lose with either one of these guys. But I just know that there's a lot of people that are coming out against JD Vance just because he's participating in this and clearly, obviously, having a hard time trying to balance the dynamic of negotiating with terrorists. That's number one. Number two, negotiating with Iran, coming to some point of agreement, only for Donald Trump to come out and say, hey, we all agree on, for example, the money that they get, they're going to buy food from the United States exclusively. And then Iran comes out and says, oh, no, we never agreed to that. J.D. Vance is the one that looks bad there. And Donald Trump, I suppose, looks bad as well. I believe it looks bad on Iran, but whatever. The whole thing is just a train wreck. Of course, you bring in, again, not to relitigate the whole thing, but you bring in Benjamin Netanyahu, you bring in Israel, you bring in Hezbollah and all of that. And it is just an impossible situation for J.D. Vance. Now, part of this dynamic, too, would be how is this whole thing going to end up? Is it even possible that we're going to come to a negotiated settlement with Iran, or are we just going to start bombing the living crap out of them again? we talked about this yesterday, not to belabor the point, but, one of the things that I said yesterday, and it is true, is that after these conflicts, after wars, generally speaking, there's got to be a lot of compromise on all sides, which means that people are going to be ticked off on all sides, whether we're talking about Israel, whether we're talking about Hezbollah, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about the United States of America, or the various nations in the Middle East. A lot of people, all these sides, are going to be angry because of something that they had to compromise on. And I guess I'm warning you that when this whole thing ends, there's going to be some people that are going to say this is the greatest thing ever. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say that this is a terrible deal. Real quick, this is, doggone it, I don't know what I just did. Coming up, I'm going to play some audio from Marco Rubio as he was on his way to the United Arab Emirates. It is 6:52. Joan's got the news coming up at 7 o'clock. Joan, what you got?
Yeah, we'll tell you why the superintendent of Williamson County Schools says he's quitting. It's coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here, and I got to tell you, I really appreciate being able to endorse Dr. Jeff Horn and all the vision pros at Vision for Life because I had my vision correction procedure well over a year ago. Life has never been better. You've heard me talk about my cataract surgery at Vision for Life. And again, it has been life-changing. I didn't even realize how much my vision was holding me back until I had clear sight again. Reading small print, not a problem these days. Driving at night, not a problem. No more halos, no more blurry lights. Watching TV, working, even just being outside. Colors are brighter, details are sharper, and I feel more confident in everything that I do. Now, I did notice how much I was compensating before. I just thought that I was getting older, squinting, adjusting, avoiding things that I used to enjoy. But now, these days, I feel like I've got a new lease on life, and my only regret is that I did not do this sooner. So if you're where I was, tired of struggling with your vision, do what I did and talk to Dr. Jeff Horn and his team at Vision for Life. They are the best at what they do, and they truly care. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to call 615-436-2020. Consultation is free. 615-436-2020. Find them online at visionforlife.com. Visionforlife.com. 6:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A good question, Joan, and I don't have an answer.
Okay.
Maybe you can answer. Guy asked on X, hey, Mandis, why don't your Daily Dan polls ever make it to X? Why are they only on YouTube?
That would require you to do something.
Oh, nice. Good, Sam. Thank you.
Throw him right under the bus, Sam.
Right. Beep,
right.
Beep, beep. Right under the bus. You know what? So in honor, I think the guy's name was Jeff. So Jeff, in honor of you, I am going to go ahead and put a poll up on my X feed. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. So I went ahead and I did it, Sam. And can I tell you why? Because generally speaking, I don't get a lot of response for whatever reason on my polls on X. Nobody, I don't get a lot of response. So if you want to
attention to your polls.
So if you'd like to respond to my poll on X, go ahead and follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. And also, you know my favorite part of this show? Joan and I FaceTime during the entire program. I like watching Joan grimace when you speak, Sam. That's what I like seeing. Also, you can take the poll on YouTube as well. Hey, Brian Wilson is coming up next. It is Wednesday. It's Wednesdays with Wilson. Got a lot to talk about with Brian Wilson coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top story. As the Senate voted yesterday to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran without congressional approval. 4 Republican senators joined all Democrats to pass it. Now, one of those Republicans is Louisiana's Bill Cassidy.
The reason I voted for them in the first place is I feel like Congress needs to have more input into the policies that are being made. And I feel like this is the only way I can make that point.
Yeah, not to mention that he's an anti-Trumper. The resolution previously passed in the House. Now, it's non-binding and largely symbolic, but it does mark the first time both chambers of Congress have worked together on reining in the president's powers. Opening arguments yesterday in the Blaze Taylor murder trial. The former Tennessee Titans scout is accused of killing his pregnant girlfriend, Jade Benning, and their unborn daughter. Here's News 2's Lexi Wilson.
Prosecutors argued Taylor poisoned Jade Benning's drink with cocaine because he didn't want to be a father. They point to a phone call Benning made to her best friend just before she was rushed to the hospital. During that call, the state says her friend heard Benning say, "What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want the baby." The defense pushed back, saying this was not a murderer. Attorneys for Taylor claim Bennings used drugs and alcohol. They also say that Taylor called 911 and cooperated with investigators.
Taylor has pleaded not guilty, but if convicted, he faces life in prison. The superintendent of Williamson County Schools has just submitted his resignation. Jason Golden telling the school board yesterday he's taking a job with the highly rated Franklin Special District Schools. He'll serve as the Associate Director of Finance, Administration, and Legal Services. In a letter, he gave Williamson County Schools 45 days notice. Metro Council hosting a data center town hall tonight. Nashvillians will have their say about the data centers being proposed, including one next to the zoo. It's happening at 6 o'clock tonight at the South Nashville Community Center. And a new idea to keep planes in the air from colliding into one another.
Lawmakers are debating whether to require GPS-based tracking technology on planes, which can show flight crews the traffic around them. Congress is split. The Senate wants to require the technology on nearly every plane and limit the military's ability to fly with it switched off. But House lawmakers want a different approach due to concern about costs and military security.
ABC's Hannah Battah there. One airline industry spokesperson says there are more close calls than the public knows about. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Futures are all pointing up. That's nice after yesterday's huge losses on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ futures are plus 185. The S&P futures, they're up 24. As for the Dow futures, they are plus 70. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash in Brentwood. It's on Old Hickory Boulevard westbound at I-65. You've got a crash as well in Madison. This is on 65 North at Old Hickory Boulevard. The crash is in the right lane, and there are ambulances there blocking the on-ramp for now. Careful in that spot. Downtown split on 40 westbound right at the I-24 exit number 211. Watch out. You've got another crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706, welcome on into a Wednesday, June 24th. How are you? My name is Dan Mandis, along with Joan Jones, Sam Rutherford, Brian Wilson joining us here. It is Wednesdays with Wilson. Talk to Brian every Wednesday at this time, if not more frequently. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Dan, and you?
I am doing outstanding. I'm going to talk about one of the biggest stories of the day and probably of the week is Mamdani's trifecta. I mean, he's got a hat trick, as they say, in New York. 3 Democrat socialists have won their primaries in New York. We're talking about people that support abolishing prisons, abolishing ICE, abolishing borders, defunding the police. One of these people said all deportations are wrong. She called the U.S. an effing disgrace. At one point, she did post on social media that she didn't have a napkin, so she wiped her hands on the American flag. That is Daria-Liza Avila-Chevier. That is New York's 13th district. Rise of communism in the Democrat Party.
I know it isn't it scary, and that the Democrat Party continues to go hard left. I mean, really out there, further than we've seen in some time, and it makes you wonder, what's going on out there with the American electorate? Is that gonna? And I wonder. The thing that keeps coming back to me is I'm wondering if perhaps the Democrats, have overshot. In other words, the power brokers within the Democrat Party have always been more to the left than mainstream Democrats, just average Democrat voters. They're way out there to the left. And I'm wondering if there's a part of the Democrat Party that will look at this and go, you know what? No, I can't be a part of that. I wonder if there'll be a backlash, but the going right now suggests that socialism and communism, unbelievably in America, is on the rise, and it's very concerning to me. It's the antithesis of everything that we believe in as Americans, and it's getting a foothold, and it's a little scary.
Well, Brian, we were talking about this earlier today, where all right, so. Number one, I think that this is actually a gift to the Republicans because it really does define, because, in politics, you've got to define your opponent. This really gives the Republicans the ability to define their opponents in a very big way. And let's be honest, you're right, Brian. Most of America finds what these people stand for as abhorrent. The problem is, I think that we're going to get more of these people in places ultimately like, Chicago and Seattle and a lot of these bigger cities. So ultimately, is this going to be good for Republicans heading into the midterm elections and beyond?
Well, I think, like I say, I think it's one thing to win a primary when it's dominated by people who are party activists, and the party activists, by and large, are way left of average Democrats. So that's one thing. But to win an election, I don't know. I don't have a good feel of what's going on the streets of New York City and New York proper right now. That gives me an idea of what's driving this. But it's very concerning, and I think Republicans probably will benefit, because I think that the left of the Democrat Party has just gone way too far to the left, and they are out of step with a great number of Democrats, and I think there could be a backlash. I do.
Van Jones agrees with you, Brian. This is what he said. And by the way, you and I agree on this.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both, it's the power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head-to-head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that, look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency, and the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
There you go. You know who's really screwed?
Yeah.
You know who's really screwed is Hakeem Jeffries because he endorsed the establishment or the incumbent candidates, and all 3 of them lost.
I know.
So it's going to be.
This is. I just don't understand what it is that is going on in New York City that causes the Democrats there to feel like that communism is the answer, or they call themselves Democrat socialists, but I mean honestly, a lot of what they believe is borderline communism, and if not full on communism. And I can't understand how folks think that's the answer, but it does show that there is a power between what AOC and Mamdani are selling in New York, and I just hope it doesn't spread beyond the borders of New York.
I think they call themselves Democrat socialists because they're trying to sanitize what they are, which is,
That's
as you
exactly
said,
right, yeah.
Brian, communists. We had some interesting manufacturing news. Talk about it sounds pretty good to me. Talk about the numbers and talk about your analysis, because you can tie this back to Donald Trump.
Well, and what they say is, look at where the economy is at Labor Day, and you'll have a pretty good idea what's going to happen in the midterm elections. And I have been making the case for some time now that I think we're going to be okay, that things are going to fall into line once the gas prices start to come down. So very quickly, let me just run through it. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $111 at one point. It's now at $71 a barrel. I think Brent was around $120 a barrel. It's now at $75 a barrel. And the national price, the national average for a gallon of gas is $3.92. And the Tennessee average is $3.46. I won't bore you with my analysis of how it's so different in different counties. I mean, but the bottom line is, if you fill up your tank in Williamson County, it will cost you $11 more than it does if you fill up your tank in Wilson County, from where I am broadcasting. I just don't understand that. That's $12, almost $12 a tank. But one way or the other, the prices are coming down. I've gone a little astray on my analysis here, but here's the thing: manufacturing is also at a 5-year high. And that is, I think, largely because Trump is making it very attractive for companies in America who have factories overseas to come back. That is starting to show up. The economy is, I think, a lot stronger than people perceive it to be, because they're so frustrated and so focused on gasoline prices. But as gasoline prices come down, I think we're going to reveal very quickly that this economy is juiced to grow and grow in a big way. I heard Newt Gingrich say a while back, show me the price of gas on Labor Day, and I'll tell you who's going to have a good midterm election. there are other signs out there, Dan, and this is very exciting, that the Democrats who, in past midterm elections have been able to pull down 30 seats, and take them away from Republicans. Right now, that blue wave, if the polls are accurate, does not seem to be developing. And I'm excited about that, that maybe, again, the Democrats have pushed too far to the left, and that Americans writ large are going, no, I can't be a part of it.
Well, there's also something to be said, Brian, about the redistricting, and you and I talked about that before. Brian, let me ask you a question. I'm sort of going back and forth with myself on this conversation about J.D. Vance. We're doing a Daily Dan poll on X and YouTube. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. But you remember when Joe Biden put Kamala Harris in charge of the border, and then they proceeded to open the border, putting Kamala Harris really in a terrible position, untenable position. I'm no fan of either Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, but you made Kamala Harris the border czar, and then you made the border a complete train wreck, right? So
you kicked her legs out from underneath her. That's right.
Now you've got J.D. Vance, who is really the guy who is in charge of these negotiations with Iran. There's a lot of Republicans that feel like these negotiations are a train wreck. And I'm noticing that there's a lot of Republicans and a lot of conservatives who are not digging what J.D. Vance is doing, and they're by and large against negotiating with terrorists and the whole thing. Coming up after the traffic, Brian, I'm going to ask you, do you believe that J.D. Vance's presidential possibilities could be impacted by these Iranian negotiations? Because there's a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives who just are not happy with how this is going. More with Brian Wilson coming up next. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as weather goes, mostly cloudy today and a high of 87. Brian, what do you think?
I think that J.D. Vance is singularly one of the most impressive politicians I've seen. When he's in front of the camera, I look at him and I say, man, he has an ability to, has a grasp of the facts that is second to none. And he's able to explain it in ways that I go, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I mean, I just think he's a very talented politician. Now, the question is this deal with Iran that he's been so actively involved in negotiating, is it going to turn out to be, sort of a turkey? I think that what they decided to do, my personal feeling is kick the can down the road. The Trump and the Trump administration decided to kick the can down the road. We have this 60-day negotiating period, which, it pushes us down the road. It gives us the opportunity to sort of move away from hostilities and each side sort of go back to their respective corners. We did a lot of damage in Iran, and I think it was the right thing to do. I really do. But this peace deal, I don't like it. Doesn't mean that's where we're going to end up. And it just may be a way of sort of kicking the can down the road as we get closer and closer to the midterm elections. He would like not to be in an active war with Iran as we move into that, so that people can focus on other things and that the gas prices don't spike again. So I think that after 60 days, you'll see a period where not much will happen. And then after the midterm elections, if they're not happy, I think they could go back into Iran and go back after Iran in a big way.
Well, and you and I have talked about this probably ad nauseum, but you can't trust Iran. There's so many different angles to this. We could talk about the Israel angle and Hezbollah and all that. But as far as the polling goes, in my own personal poll on YouTube, 52% said no, it will not impact JD's chances. 48% said yes. On X, at Dan Mandis Show, 45% said yes, it will impact his chances. 54% said no, it won't. But, usually these polls, Brian, are rather lopsided. This one is not. We've got.
You may be right.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
I will say that J.D. Vance is solid, but I got to tell you, Marco Rubio's on the rise as far as 2080 is concerned. He's really making the right moves. And interestingly enough, watch Rubio. He's not very visible on this Iran deal.
Well, that's what I've been saying. I mean, it almost feels like he's on his way to the United Arab Emirates to have some discussions there. But, really, it feels like he's been purposely left out of this whole thing. So
I would say he may have strategically decided he doesn't want to be involved in the thing. That's my guess.
Or Donald Trump. Donald Trump decided not to get Marco Rubio involved either. So, all right, real quick, Brian, I know that you spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. I know that you've been watching everything that's been going on with the reflecting pool. Earlier today, I was playing audio of some leftists actually, purple-haired and the whole thing, and they were cheering on the algae. It's just getting so ridiculous.
You know what? If the Department of Interior had just very quietly gone over there and put up the fences and repaired the thing and not said a whole lot about it, it wouldn't have been a thing. Past presidents have worked on that reflecting pool. It was in terrible shape. It smelled bad. Yep. It was leaking horribly, 40,000 gallons of water a day. And Trump came in and did a solution. I think when they started to pump the water in, they had a short-term problem with algae. And I think that they were starting to get that under control, but I think that there was sabotage. It doesn't take much to cause an algae bloom in warm water. You could throw in a couple of handfuls of fertilizer, and that would be all that it took to sort of cause the algae to bloom. And I think that they were sabotaged. And I know that there was damage done by people. The president said there was a 350-foot slice in it that looks like somebody took a box cutter and ran right down the middle of that thing in the middle of the night. So, if this had Trump not had his name associated with it, there wouldn't have been, nobody would have even noticed this thing. This is the result of Donald Trump trying to do good things for the city of Washington. And because his name is associated, the TDS kicks in and the wackos come out and they're singing to the algae and they've damaged it, and they're gonna have to drain it and start over. But how sad is it that we can't have nice things in America, because if Donald Trump's name is attached to it in any way, the loony left is just going to lose their minds and do radical stuff like this.
Brian, you bring up such a great point, which is if he just wouldn't have said anything and not made it a thing, then the left wouldn't have. If
this had been any other president who was supportive of and it really isn't Donald Trump, it's the Interior Department that's running this thing, but he's very excited about it, and he did have some input on the color of the coating that they're putting, and that's it. And somehow, because he chose a color of blue and it got some coverage, the left sees on, if Donald Trump is for, improving the reflecting pool, then we must be, not everything that Donald Trump is for is a bad thing. But if his name is associated, they just react viscerally, and it is TDS all the way.
You know what I think Donald Trump should do? He should get on True Social, and he should say, moving forward, it will be known as the Donald J. Trump Pool of Reflection. Oh, can you imagine the masterclass trolling?
Well, I don't know. Let's not give them anything else to seize on. Is my feeling about it. But you're right. It's so silly. It really is.
All right, Brian, you've been doing a great job of filling in for everybody under the sun. I thank you for filling in for me last week.
My pleasure.
You did a great job. So, do you have any other fill-ins that we should know about?
I think I'm filling in for Matt on the 2nd, July 2nd. Okay. And we'll be filling in for him. Then after that, I think it's been a busy time. I really have put in a lot of shows, but I think it sort of slows down because I'm the vacation fill-in guy, and everybody's got their vacation in.
All right, very good. Wednesdays with Wilson, brought to you by the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Brian, always great to have you on.
My pleasure, Dan. Always a pleasure to be with you.
All righty, 7:24. Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, we'll tell you how a local banker allegedly duped seniors out of their savings. Those stories and more coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis. Getting older is part of life. Feeling exhausted all the time, well, it doesn't have to be. I don't care what age you are, guys, you need to live your best life. So if your energy is down, your sex drive isn't what it used to be, your workouts feel harder, your focus is off, or maybe you just don't feel like yourself, it may be time to head to Low T Center. About 1 in 4 men over 40 have low testosterone. And for many guys, the symptoms happen so gradually, you may not even notice or just assume that it is stress, work, lack of sleep, or the simple act of aging. Now, at Low T Center, providers specialize in hormone health and testosterone replacement therapy. They use lab work and symptoms and health history and personal goals to create treatment plans tailored to each patient because no two guys are exactly alike. TRT may help support energy, focus, libido, body composition, mood, overall quality of life. Bottom line is, you are going to feel a whole lot better when you go to the Low T Center. It works with most major insurance providers and offers a free testosterone test for men who want answers. Online, it's fixmylowt.com, fixmylowt.com. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, 58 years old, and I feel better now than I did when I was 45 because years ago, I went to the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been talking about my vacation where I did all the cool beach things, parasailing and long walks and some beach frisbee, just really active. And it does feel so amazing to be able to do all of those things when you consider that many years ago, I was not able to do those things because I was sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain. I've been telling you about how they embrace new technology. These days, they've got Medical Bay One. They describe it as a futuristic healing machine that uses red light technology and stem cell stimulations for tissue regeneration and healing. They call it the Epic Spinal Special. And you call them right now, you mention my name, you get $33 off of each visit to utilize Medical Bay One. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
Good morning, 7:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, your forecast, and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Metro Police have arrested a bank clerk accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from customers. Police say they've been investigating Carl Richardson for months when he worked at the Bank of America branch along Harding Pike. Channel 4's Holly Thompson.
Investigators say when a 75-year-old woman would come to get cash out of her account, Richardson would then give her significantly less than she requested and then pocket the rest of the money. Police say Richardson also took thousands of dollars out of an 86-year-old woman's account over a 4-year period. Police say he left the bank in November but continued to steal money up until April.
The combined losses totaled nearly $140,000. Candidates endorsed by President Trump won sweeping victories in last night's primary elections ahead of November. Trump-backed candidates winning from Maryland to Utah. It was also a big night, though, for New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
In New York, Mamdani's growing influence now in the spotlight.
He brings a vision of politics that is more than what we've seen for so long.
All three candidates he endorsed coming out victorious, raising questions about whether Mamdani's far-left politics can translate into national momentum. Republicans reacting, saying the Democrat establishment officially surrendered to Zohran Mamdani and the socialist wing of their party.
Or communists, as some would say. That's ABC's Lionel Moise. And the Justice Department announcing one of its biggest healthcare fraud crackdowns ever. More than 450 people facing charges connected to $6 billion in alleged scams involving your taxpayer money.
In one case, a nurse practitioner allegedly ran a $900 million scheme billing Medicare for unnecessary skin grafts. Officials say she took that money and bought an $800,000 necklace, a Ferrari, and a luxury vacation. The FBI also announced 2 more suspects on its most wanted fraudsters list, allegedly connected to nearly $700 million in medical testing schemes.
That's ABC's Karen Hua. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis. For my friends at the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, America is turning 250 years old this year, and it does make me appreciate the veterans even more. Now, these folks at the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, they are great Americans who have been crucial in helping our military heroes acclimate to life back home after multiple deployments. Our men and women of the military need the support that the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project does provide. Now, these days, they're also protecting our first responders, who, by the way, a lot of those first responders also veterans. And the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project has a new partnership with Shield 616, providing life-saving body armor for the Wilson County Sheriff's Department. Near and dear to my heart, I live in Wilson County. Now, these advanced ballistic vests will provide protection to first responders as they are protecting you. So give to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project today. Work is not done for Wilson County. As much work as they've done to help veterans and first responders, there is still a lot more to be done. Find them online. Give today. CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. Learn more and donate to the veterans and to the first responders.
All right, so we have a crash in Brentwood still there. It's on Old Hickory Boulevard, the westbound lanes, right at I-65. A crash on Antioch Pike in Antioch. It's right at Harding Place. Jolton, got to watch it. There are two separate crashes in one area. It's on 24 eastbound at Whites Creek Pike. That'll be very slow. And then you've got in Hermitage, Lebanon Pike at Old Hickory Boulevard East. That's another scene of a crash. One more. This is in Portland, 65 southbound side at the off-ramp to Orlinda, Portland, exit 117. A crash is reported on the off-ramp itself. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.737 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A Tennessee doctor has been caught up in President Trump's crackdown on healthcare fraud. I know what you're going to say, that the millions or billions of dollars that they have found and that they're able to claw back from these fraudulent, oftentimes foreigners, that it's really just a drop in the bucket. And I do understand that. But what the president is trying to do and what the DOJ is trying to do is they're trying to catch the perpetrators, which they're doing. That's number one. And number two, they're learning how all of this fraud with Medicare and Medicaid has actually happened. This healthcare fraud is happening so that they can combat it in the future. So a big announcement yesterday that there have now been hundreds of arrests across the nation as the president and his DOJ is cracking down on healthcare fraud. I love this, actually. This is obviously an extension of one of my favorite stories, which was Nick Shirley going to Minnesota and then California, shining a light on the fraud in those two Democrat-run states.
Today, we are announcing federal and state charges, all of which were charged or unsealed at some point over the past 2 weeks, the past 14 days. Coordinated nationwide action. Since June 8th, we've charged 455 defendants across 56, like I said a minute ago, U.S. attorney's offices, and 45 U.S. states and territories.
So that is good. That is obviously Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, one of those arrested is a former doctor here in Middle Tennessee, a guy named Ramon Aquino out of Clarksville. He's accused of prescribing controlled substances, including opioids, in excessive and inappropriate quantities. This is from Fox 17. The filing also claims some prescriptions were without medical necessity and could cause patients to abuse, misuse, and become addicted to the drugs. I saw a headline the other day. Sam, can you see if you can find this headline? It was a headline where they had a total number of pills, opioids, that came over the southern border. It was under the Biden administration. It was like 1 million or something. It was some astronomical number. And so those drugs were, and by the way, they are still coming across our southern border as well. We still have this problem. And any attempt or what's the best way to put this? Any notion that China is actually helping in this situation is a complete and utter fabrication. Over a 7-year period, getting back to this doctor, over a 7-year period from July 2017 to July 24, court documents say this doctor in Clarksville, Aquino, prescribed 43,103 controlled substance prescriptions. The filing says that included approximately 525,000 pills or doses of narcotics and 569,455 pills or dozens of other types of anxiety drugs. Aquino was a doctor at North Clarksville Medical Center on Dover Road. Now, it's interesting, Joan, you covered this earlier in one of your previous newscasts, and people are hitting the super text line saying, He was my doctor. He was my
Oh.
kid's doctor. So people apparently knew this guy.
Yeah.
He is now 77. The clinic is, Aquino is a doctor again, North Clarksville Medical Center Road on Dover Road. The clinic is now North Star Medical Group and is under new ownership. One of the U.S. attorneys for the Middle District of Tennessee, Braden Bouchek, says that Aquino's case is part of the larger crackdown that I've been talking about and that we've been covering, but the impact of alleged overprescription is being felt in local communities. Aquino, and I got to tell you, every time I go down this road of the opioids and the fentanyl coming across our southern border, I get just a huge crush of response. I think that just about everybody out there, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you know someone who has been impacted by what happened, mainly under the Biden administration. Again, it is still happening, where all of these opioids came across our southern border.
Well, and to that end, Tennessee's age-adjusted drug overdose rate is approximately 35.2 deaths per 100,000 residents, a figure that places the state roughly 52% higher than the national average.
Wow. Sad. And that's a lot of people. Aquino, part of that discussion. Prosecutors say pharmacies submitted claims to Medicare and TennCare for those prescriptions, meaning taxpayer-funded programs were billed for drugs prosecutors say should not have been prescribed. One of the things that there's basically, you know how you'll have people that doctor shop. Remember how Prince did this? He would doctor shop looking for some of these drugs. I think Aquino was one of these doctors where people knew to go to, allegedly, where people knew to go to get the kind of drugs that they needed. Then they became addicted. And some people died. They say in Aquino's case, court documents alleged nearly $890,000 in false claims were submitted to Medicare and TennCare, and more than $335,000 was paid out. Aquino is charged with one count of healthcare fraud. I'd be interested to know, Joan, in your version of the story, this guy Aquino, I mean, those numbers seem astronomical to me.
They're crazy, yeah.
Yet he's only been charged, according to my version of the story, with one count of healthcare fraud.
So a lot of times prosecutors will charge something just to make it a holding charge, just to get them under wraps.
Got it.
And then they'll dig in and they'll develop a whole case around them. But they want to get them charged so that they can't escape. They can't go anywhere. They've got to be arrested and charged.
And anything they say can and will be used against them in a court of law while they build that case and then take it to a grand jury for an indictment.
It'll be interesting to see how many actual counts of healthcare fraud he ultimately ends up charged with, because you're talking about $890,000 in false claims.
Yeah, it's crazy how much.
Right? It is. It's crazy, and it's sad because, again, not to belabor the point, you folks know that people have been dying, and people do continue to remain addicted because of things like this. More from Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche in what I would say a big story today, and that is that Tennessee doctor been caught up in President Trump's crackdown on healthcare fraud. A little bit more on the numbers coming up next. It is 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Crashes Brentwood, Old Hickory Boulevard, westbound, an accident at 65 Antioch Pike. There's a crash at Harding Place and Hermitage, Lebanon Pike, an accident at Old Hickory Boulevard East. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:45 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather goes, mostly cloudy today and a high of 87. By the way, Joan, make sure that I do this. Sam, remember to remind me to do this. An accusation against Donald Trump regarding his bathroom. Don't let me forget to talk about that coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and talking about all of the healthcare fraud that has been happening here in America.
As alleged in the various indictments, these individuals participated in healthcare fraud schemes involving over $6.5 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Yep, that is Todd Blanche. Off the air, you were telling me, Sam, the total number of pills that have come across our southern border since 2020.
Well, it's almost hard to even calculate that. A ton of these are counterfeit prescription pills. In a single recent phase of nationwide interdiction campaign, the DEA seized over 44 million fentanyl pills, while state-level border operations in California alone intercepted an additional 54 million lethal pills over a multi-year period. So there's hundreds of millions of these pills pouring across the border in some capacity.
That is insane. And we're starting to hear some of these stories, like this doctor out of Clarksville. You have a combination, by the way, the folks doing this fraud. You've got a combination of illegal aliens, like we saw in Minnesota, transnational criminal organizations, and Americans as well. There's this story, and I think that this story, because there's a lot of different elements of fraud that are going on. Of course, in Minnesota, we had the fraud regarding the transportation to the hospital. We had other kinds of fraud as well. The Somalian community in Minnesota, we've had all of that fraud in California as well. Massive $27 million LA hospice fraud, Los Angeles hospice fraud revealed as medical scammer using dead patients to fund his lavish lifestyle, including a flashy car collection, including a Rolls-Royce Phantom, which I guess is some sort of a fancy car. You know, and I think we've said this before, Joan, but I watched Breaking Bad, and I've learned all I know about money laundering from Breaking Bad. And one of the very first things that they told Walter White is, don't start living large, because people are going to notice and they're going to start investigating you if that's what you're doing, which is, as Walter White was doing, was money laundering.
If he bought the Phantom new, it's between $550,000 and $650,000. If he got it pre-owned, it's about $300,000 to $500,000.
Yeah.
And also, on this drug overdose issue in Tennessee, because there's no denying that it is a problem. In 2024, 2,500 people overdosed and died, and the bulk of that was fentanyl and other synthetic opioids.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, it was so long ago, but I remember interviewing a mom of a man who had overdosed, a young adult who had overdosed. I interviewed her here on WTN. She was advocating for some piece of legislation. I forget some of the details, but hearing her story about her son and how he had become addicted, it's one of those situations where he had like thrown out his back or something, and he had some back surgery, whatever it was. And he ended up getting addicted to the painkillers that were prescribed to him. And you see that all the time. The thing that I take away from this is that this can happen to anybody. You know, oftentimes you have people that will say, oh, well, they're just a bunch of druggies. No, they're people just like me and you who throw out their back. They have back surgery. They end up getting addicted to these pills, and their lives are just destroyed. I mean, that's what has been happening, and it is incredibly sad. I forget. I remember I told the story about my mom. I don't know if you guys remember this. You probably don't. But years ago, when my mom died, we went to California, and we were clearing out her apartment after she had passed away, and we found enough pills to, like, I don't know, kill an elephant. I don't know what. There's a lot of pills. I mean, there were like, you know those big trash bags?
Yeah.
Right? We had almost an entire trash bag full of pills. There was some like fentanyl in there and some other stuff that, I mean, we looked it up at the time, and it's like, why in the world did she have all this? Well, she had, some surgeries and so forth. And it was like, my brother made the joke, he and I were joking around. It's like, we could go to LA right now and probably retire on if we went and sold all of these drugs. We ended up taking it to a drugstore, and you had to drop them into a bin, if I remember correctly, at the drugstore.
Safe disposal center.
Yes, exactly right. So, I mean, I'm telling you what, this stuff is going on. And my mom, here's the crazy part. My mom, not to go on and on about this, but my mom was an alcoholic. So my entire family full of alcoholics. It's crazy. So a family that is very sort of addictive. They get addicted to things. And I remember her telling me when she was alive, they're giving me all of these pills. She wouldn't take them because she knew that she would get addicted. I said, well, then, Mom, why are you filling the prescription? She would say, just in case I need them. So she had like years and years of all of these drugs. Anyway, one more sound bite from Todd Blanche.
We're taking back the money, the luxury cars, the jewelry, and these alleged fraudsters will face justice. The coordinated actions of the past 2 weeks have resulted in over $182 million in cash and other assets seized, making clear our healthcare fraud enforcement efforts generate a significant return on investment for our taxpayers.
So there you go. And as I said, they're gonna try to claw back some of that money. By the way, 9069 says this: the doctor busted in Clarksville sounds like an amateur. Many, he says or she says, are even worse. I was a nurse for 43 years, never had drug problems, but everyone in any place can get addicted.
Well, and they're incentivized to push them. The pharmaceutical companies come to some of these physicians and go, hey, if you prescribe X amount of pills a year or give out X amount of prescriptions, we'll give you this percentage.
Duffy says on the super text line, I was on opioids for 20 years. People have known what they are for decades. Addictive. He says personal responsibility needs to be had at some point. I guess
I don't take them, by the way. I had stitches in my face, and they offered me fentanyl for it.
Yeah.
In the hospital, and I said no. I don't want that. Can I have something else? And she goes, well, it's going to hurt because it's going to be in your face. So what about an Ativan, which is like. It's not an opioid. It's more of a mood controller than anything else.
Right.
And I point blank asked the doctor, I said, could I self-medicate at home with something? And he said, absolutely. I think I would prefer that, considering you're not going to be in that much pain and you don't need to go home with hydrocodone.
Well, that's what my mom... I also told the story, I think, where when we went into my mom's apartment, she had, oh my goodness, not only did she have all these drugs, she had a lot of, medicinal pot, like gummies. She had a bunch of gummies too. Like she had.
Wow.
I mean, she was in a lot of pain. That's one of the reasons why she did what she did. But so she was in a lot of pain, and so for her, I mean, again, I can imagine if somebody walked into her apartment and saw all of the things that she
was part of, like the South Polo Locos dealing out the house or something.
That's exactly right. Anyway, moving right along. But is that a legit thing to say, though? Like Duffy says, and I'm going to get stuck on this point because this is what I do, but Duffy says personal responsibility needs to be had at some point when talking about opioid addiction. He's got a fair point. We've known for decades that these are addictive. I got opioids for something. I can't remember what it was, and it was years ago now, and I can't remember. I was very hesitant to take them. I don't remember what it was, and I wish I could remember what it was, but it was something. I'd had a back surgery kind of a thing, and they gave me something, and my wife at the time, and this is a long time ago, to Duffy's point, my wife at the time said, you probably shouldn't take this because it is so addictive, and you know that your family, you have this thing with addiction. And I don't remember if I took any. I may have just taken one just to see what it was like.
And to Duffy's point, yeah, no, definitely some self-responsibility, but your brain chemistry gets altered after a certain point, right? And you become dependent on needing that feeling in order to feel normal. And that's where it leads to you build a tolerance. And so, well, now instead of taking one a day, you're taking two a day. And then next week, you're taking three a day. And then, you come around to week 4 or 5, and this is how people accidentally overdose. They're not feeling it anymore.
Yep. By the way, 3996, Joan, you and I talked about this story before the radio program about Cheekwood, the Cheekwood controversy.
Yeah.
So I'm just here to tell you, Sam, Joan is absolutely fired up about this whole thing at Cheekwood. So we're going to talk about this.
Good.
Coming up. But Joan, you're going to have to carry the segment because I've been to Cheekwood. I love Cheekwood.
Yeah.
but you're going to tell the story, and we'll all react to it like we did maybe at 5:30 this morning. So, because there's some people who are Cheekwood supporters who are really angry. And Cheekwood, it's like would you call it like an arboretum kind of a thing? Yeah. Bunch of plants, right? All right, we'll talk about what's going on with Cheekwood.
Thanks for bringing it right down.
There you go. Bunch of plants. 7:56. Joan, what is coming up in the news at 8?
Another federal judge makes a ruling that goes against President Trump's policies. I know, you're shocked. I've got the story coming up here at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:56 on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here for my friends at the Covered Patio. Warmer weather outside means you want to spend more time outside. Now, full disclosure, I've already got a covered patio. It is one of my absolute favorite things about my home. Matter of fact, I'm just going to be honest. Again, most days, Amy will find me falling asleep outside at about noon every single day when I turn off the radio and all I do is I start to try to rest. And the covered patio, they can provide the same thing for you. If you want to add more living space to your home, think about building or upgrading your patio. They've got motorized screens so that you can easily keep the patio open when you want some sun and closed when you want some shade. So your back screened in porch becomes a lot more enjoyable when you call the covered patio and you have your patio either built or upgraded with the covered patio. They've got a ton of outdoor living options with motorized screens, patio covers, custom wooden decks, and outdoor structures as well. They've got a ton of options with styles for every budget. The covered patio is dedicated to fair prices and customized solutions for your specific home and your specific face or space. So enjoy your home a lot more with an incredible patio upgrade from the Covered Patio. 615-695-2407. 615-695-2407. Online, thecoveredpatio.com. Thecoveredpatio.com.
Good morning, 8:02. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And President Trump wants the Save America Act passed, and he's about to knock some heads together on Capitol Hill. Here's Fox's Jackie Heinrich.
The president's got another packed day on his agenda. He is heading to Capitol Hill reportedly to discuss with Republican senators the stalled SAVE Act. Bracing, they are, according to reports, for a heated discussion potentially. And while he's there, the press secretary says he's going to be signing the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, one of the most significant pieces of housing affordability legislation in American history. Caroline Levitt says President Trump promised to lower housing costs, and he is delivering.
And he'll also meet with NATO Secretary Mark Rutte and kick off the Great American State Fair tonight. Pretty busy for the president. A federal judge in California has issued a nationwide injunction against several of President Trump's policies. Judge Casey Pitt's order stops ICE agents from arresting illegal aliens at courthouses, claiming that the arrests are unfair to the aliens who are appearing in immigration court. The head of the UN's nuclear agency saying this morning that the Iranian nuclear enrichment sites must be visited by his inspectors. It's a key component in the interim deal between the U.S. and Iran to reach an end to the war. International Atomic Energy Agency head Rafael Grossi.
Paragraph 8 of this Memorandum of Understanding says explicitly that the nuclear activities that are going to be carried out with regards to the nuclear material facilities and will be supervised by the IAEA.
And he was speaking in Japan this morning. Also, the Trump administration has announced more than $17 billion in loans to speed up the development of 10 new large nuclear reactors to meet the skyrocketing demand for power for massive data centers. The nuclear plants could begin construction by 2030 and become operational in the mid-2030s. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. We're looking at pre-market numbers this morning. The NASDAQ futures are up 107 after some steep losses yesterday. S&P futures are plus 13. Dow futures right now are down 36 points. And checking out oil prices this morning, pretty amazing. Brent crude is at $74 a barrel, and the West Texas crude price, $71 a barrel. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. On 24 westbound in Antioch, there's a crash on the right shoulder at Harding Place, and that right shoulder's blocked. A lot of traffic around it. Jolton, 24 east at Whites Creek Pike. That's the scene of another crash. Pretty slow on 40 as you're making your way westbound from the airport all the way in. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:08, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And I think a lot of us have been to Cheekwood. I know Sam was telling me off the air that you went to little field trips when you were a student. And I think that there's a lot of schools that, particularly in Nashville, that have gone to Cheekwood. Basically, what Cheekwood is it's this massive, expansive grounds that have incredible trees and plant life. And, the family used to live there from way back in the 1800s, and it's generational, that kind of a thing. And then I guess the family all passed on. But the property itself is obviously, again, still in use. It's a big tourist attraction these days. And apparently Cheekwood is possibly going to have to close. There's a big battle over Cheekwood. Joan was telling me about this story earlier today. The headline from WSMV is this: unprecedented and radical existential threat could shutter Cheekwood as we know it, the Estate and Gardens says. And Joan, it's all about parking, apparently.
Yeah, that's how this all started. So Cheekwood has grown, and so there's more visitors, and it's jamming up the streets of these residential areas around it. So the city told Cheekwood that they must expand parking and that they must have access from, Route 100 or Highway 100 as well. Mm-hmm. So they started a construction project, which, by the way, included them having to blast through rock. Didn't make the neighborhood happy at all. So the people, 500 Belmead Highlands residents, filed an appeal challenging the permits for the estate's parking pavilion project. But what they also did was they said that, let's see, where is it? They said that it also is going to challenge the ability for Cheekwood to continue its operations at all.
Yeah, and the problem is that if they don't expand the parking, the city basically told them that they had to expand the parking. So now you've got this group, as Cheekwood is trying to expand the parking, the group is now filing all of this legal paperwork to get them to stop. And so then Cheekwood, it's like we're dead in the water because we're trying to do what the city is mandating that we do. But now we've got these other people telling us that we can't do it. And effectively, it could hamstring Cheekwood from continuing from what Cheekwood is saying.
Yeah, now see, the residents say that's nonsense. It doesn't go that far. It's really not all about that. But Cheekwood managed to get one of those petitions out and got like 11,000 signatures right away to tell these people to stop doing what they're doing. So it's really this big dispute. I suspect it's going to go to a court to get taken care of. But part of it is Cheekwood leaders say that they do support the shared Highway 100 access road, but they say the decision rests with Metro leaders. So, they're trying to comply with what Metro is telling them to do, but Metro's not really hands-on with this, and the residents are angry. I mean,
they're dealing with blasting.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's the bad guy here. By the way, Cheekwood also says the group is, and this is the quote, explicitly demanding that the city issue a stop work order to halt all operations and public use of Cheekwood property. They say if successful, this action would effectively shutter Cheekwood as we know it. The Estate and Garden said it would prohibit public access, halt all programming that Nashvillians have made family traditions, and end free educational field trips for thousands of Nashville school children. Now, the neighbors, you said this, Joan, the neighbors are saying, listen, we've been trying to engage with Cheekwood. Yeah. That's what the neighbors are saying.
And they say they're not operating in good faith with the neighbors. They say that the neighbors say, look, Cheekwood, all we want you to do is just talk to us, and you won't even talk to us. So
I guess my question would be, hey, Sam, take the phones off hold.
One other thing.
If there's somebody who has been negotiating with Cheekwood, or if you're involved in this, call us at 615-737-9986. Would love to hear from you on the telephone. Neighbors for Safety BMH, Inc., said in a statement that its members, a group of hundreds of Belmead Highlands residents, have tried to engage with Cheekwood in good faith to find solutions, but they say that would allow Cheekwood to thrive while protecting the surrounding residential community. Well, you got to blast or you don't. I mean, that's the problem, is that we all know that Tennessee is made of rock, right? So anytime you want to do something, there's going to be some blasting. We had some blasting in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So we've had blasting around here. So there's a part of me that does empathize with the people that are having issues with the blasting, but blasting only lasts for, I mean, a couple of months, maybe, whatever. But you know what the blasting can do, Joan, is it can crack your walls.
Absolutely. We see the cracks in our walls here.
We've got cracks in our walls in the newsroom from the blasting around here.
So if you don't hear from me at some point, it could be that we collapsed over here. There's documents filed with the Metro Board of Zoning Appeals. Neighbors argued that Cheekwood is operating far beyond the non-assembly cultural use that was approved by the board in 1996. And they claim that this proposed parking garage, it's a 750-space garage, does not comply with the property's residential zoning. So if they haven't changed the zoning on that property since they, turned it into a botanical garden, I mean, that's somebody screwing up, right? But also, when you consider how much traffic goes through the neighborhood, the appeal cites attendance growth from approximately 175,000 visitors in 2008. In 2023, it was 400,000 visitors.
Wow.
And they say during the holiday lights, that celebration, that it just gets absolutely nuts. That ambulances can't get down the streets, kids can't ride their bikes, in the street because it's just so jammed up.
5002 says Cheekwood could get a satellite lot and run shuttles.
They could.
They could do that. I just got back from Universal. That's what they do there.
Well, and they could probably get federal funding for something like that if this gets out of control. It is on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places and has been for 26 years. The federal government has said that this is an important piece of state and national history. It needs to stay that way.
Sally says, so the uppity rich people don't like blasting during daylight hours? No, I don't know. I understand the consternation with blasting, but can I just say this too? And I'm not taking sides on this because I don't know. I love Cheekwood, but I can see both sides to this. Mm-hmm. Is it possible that Cheekwood is being a little hyperbolic here in what they're saying?
Well, that's what the residents are saying. Yeah, that it's over the top to say that we're going to stop the operations of Cheekwood and it'll have to close down.
But if they filed the petition or whatever, to stop the progress, then that's what they're trying to do. But I guess the question is, isn't there another way? I think the satellite parking is a great point, but now they're stuck with a parking lot that is sort of like half finished. Is that what's going on out there now?
I think so, yeah. So, also, when people move into those homes around Cheekwood, they moved into the homes knowing that Cheekwood's right there.
Great point.
I mean,
great point,
it's
Joan.
not a surprise that Cheekwood is in their neighborhood.
I think it'd be cool to live near Cheekwood.
Wouldn't it, though?
Yeah.
Maybe if they've just got a little discount, that the neighbors could walk to Cheekwood and just, not have to pay.
They say it's 4702. Dan, it's called a botanical garden. Sorry. It's a botanical garden. My bad. Anyway, so.
Cool trees, dude.
4209. Nashville is not going to be Nashville much longer. A lot of people talk about that.
Oh, and that's the point that Brian was filling in last week, talking about another restaurant closing down that had been around for 42 years.
Yeah.
It's not just raising property taxes for the sake of generating a budget in Metro Nashville. It's also to erase the culture. Make no mistake, that's part of the plan here.
So Tom says the residents started this, and this was my first thought when Joan told me about this earlier. The residents started this by complaining about parking. So they try to fix it, and they complain about Cheekwood trying to fix the parking. Yeah. So that's what I said. I said Cheekwood is like in a no-win situation. So I don't know. I'm wondering how this is all going to play out. Let's see. People are making fun of you because you were Karening about Bonnaroo. Karening. I like that. Did I just coin a new phrase? Okay. Karening?
Hold on. Bonnaroo and Cheekwood, these are two drastically different.
Listen,
Bonnaroo is one weekend a year, and I didn't know about it when I moved in.
Listen, Joan, all it takes is a little bit of research. Do you not, when you moved here, Joan, did you not I don't know, get on your little computer and maybe do some research about the community that you chose to move into?
She saw the name of the county and said, ooh, coffee. Nice.
That's the county for me. Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. So, yeah, I don't know how this is going to work out. We need to save Cheekwood. That my biggest thing here. Okay, you know what I would like to do? I'm going to see if I can get some of these people on the phone. Some of the people that say that they've been trying to talk to the leaders there at Cheekwood. I want to know what their solution is. You complained about the roads. You complained about the traffic. You complained about the parking. They tried to fix it, and now you're complaining about that. So in a perfect world, what would the complainers, I'm not going to call them Kareners, but what did the complainers want them to do? Because they're trying to fix the problem. And I don't know. We put out the call. Nobody called. 615-737-9986. If you're involved in all this, I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'm going to start stalking you on Facebook.
7464 said, sounds like somebody wants the property. I mean, our politicians going to raise the taxes. Everything's going up in price. Our smaller companies and businesses been around for a long time are shutting down. It almost seems like it's being done on purpose so that the little people basically.
Can you imagine if they have to bulldoze Cheekwood and then they want to put like a data center or an Amazon? Can you imagine though?
Oh my gosh.
This is such an important piece of Nashville would not be Nashville without the Cheek family. This was at the end of the 1800s. They really started to flourish, and it wasn't just, one part. It was the cousins too. Christopher Cheek founded a wholesale grocery business in Nashville in the 1880s. His son Leslie joined him as a partner. His cousin Joel was responsible for starting Maxwell House Coffee.
What? Wow.
Which was the motto, I guess their slogan was made famous by one President Teddy Roosevelt, who drank the coffee and said that it's good to the last drop. This very integral part of the history that we can't afford to let get washed away.
Cheekwood also suffered big losses during the winter storm that we just had because so many of their plants died. Do you remember this story?
Yeah.
I mean, they're behind the 8 ball financially now because of having to replace everything.
Thank God there were no power lines in the area.
5521 Cheekwood was there first. Why did these neighborhoods build right up against it?
Yeah.
Fair? I mean, if it was there since the 1800s.
Yeah, that's super valid.
It's a 55-acre estate and houses a 30,000 square foot Georgian style mansion. That is also an art museum.
Steven says you won't get any calls on this because everyone involved is probably liberals.
Steven is 100% correct.
Oh, really?
Belmead is just full of them.
Leftists?
That whole neighborhood outside of oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I almost moved to Belmead many years ago.
You'd be a snooty leftist
Your
too.
house would be getting egged on the regular
Would it be
basis.
can you imagine? Thank God I moved to Wilson County. Anyway, all right, well, you know what? We'll see where this whole thing turns up. I'm going to try to get some people, since it's the snooty Belmedians that are doing this to Cheekwood, I'm going to try and get somebody from Cheekwood on to present their side of the story.
Rather cheeky of you.
Very good. 822. Joan's got the news coming up at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, we've got the local angle to the DOJ's big fraud bust that they announced yesterday. It's coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
New season, new clothes, but the same old discomfort when the camera comes out. Hey, it's Dan Mattis. We've all been there, including me. At Contours LLC in Franklin, they help you trade that photo fear for genuine confidence. Contours red light treatments help tighten skin and melt that stubborn fat. Fast and without surgery, without complications and without pain. It's going to help to restore your confidence, and it's totally safe, totally natural. It's not going to hurt you. No pain, no downtime, and yeah, it is instantaneous as well. Now, right now, come on in and try it out for just $99 or do both a belly buster and a facial for $149. $149. And if you're ready to commit to your best self, get the Manda special of 6 full treatments for the price of 4. That's right, summer is here, so don't wait. Book your appointment today, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960, or online at ContoursLLC.com. Contours look as good as you feel. After all, what have you got to lose but inches? Dan Mandis here, lifelong dog owner. I have seen all kinds of behaviors in my dogs, and not all of them have been good. So if you've got a dog that needs some serious training, you've got to check out my friends at Ridgeside Canine Nashville. I do call them the Dog Whisperers. They've helped thousands of dogs and their owners over the last 25 years solve those behavioral issues. They can help you as well. Aggression, potty problems, anxiety, basic obedience. They can help you help your precious pup with just about anything. Ridgeside Canine Nashville. Now, one of the things that I really like about how they do business, how they train your dog, is that they believe that owner education is just as important as dog training, and long-term success with your dog begins with you. And at Ridgeside Canine Nashville, they've got a lifetime support guarantee. They are there for you 24/7, 365. So check them out. Online, it's rsk9nash.com. That is the letter K, the number 9, rsk9nash.com, 615-878-0380, 615-878-0380. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, veteran-owned, proven results, and guaranteed for life.
Democratic Party now is.
$828 Super Talk 99.7 WTN 615-737-9986 615-737 WWTN. We've talked about a lot today. A lot of people going to be talking about what happened in New York last night. Mamdani does, what do you call it again? Not a hat trick in hockey. Of course, the mayor of New York, 3 of the people that he endorsed, radical socialists, have won their primary in the state of New York. You're talking about people that want to abolish prisons, abolish ICE, abolish borders, defund the police. All deportations are wrong and have called America an effing disgrace and so forth. And so the big question, and we had a good debate earlier, is do you believe that this will actually define the Democrat Party? Are they now officially a socialist party? Now, a lot of Republicans, and I think that they should do this, they really do need to brand the Democrats as socialists and use this to their advantage coming up in the midterm elections. This is Stephen Miller.
That's the communication challenge that we all have together, Sean, which is to explain to the American people that Democrats you grew up with, the Democrats that your mom and dad grew up with, the Democrats that your grandma and grandpa grew up with, do not exist anymore at all, not at any level of government. A vote for any Democrat anywhere for any office is empowering a party that wants to strip this country to the bone, to take away our security, our defense, our way of life. You know, just tonight, Sean, I saw a Democrat member of Congress online defending the Antifa terrorists in Texas who were just jailed for shooting an ICE officer. They shot an ICE officer. They were charged with terrorism, and a Democrat congresswoman was defending the Antifa terrorists.
So that is Stephen Miller and Sean Hannity. I think you can guess how they felt about what happened in New York. But see, I think this does give the Republicans an opening to define the Democrats in the midterm elections. Whether we're talking about New York, whether we're talking about Ohio, whether we're talking about Illinois, whether we're talking about California or the state of Washington, this is now what the Democrats stand for. By the way, you heard Stephen Miller talking about a Democrat, apparently a member of Congress, who is defending these Antifa members who shot at the ICE agents.
Rashida Tlaib.
Oh, shocking.
She called the conviction, quote, a travesty.
So is she. You know what? Rashida Tlaib herself is a travesty.
Yeah.
And so is the city that she represents.
And her face is ugly.
Oh.
You know what? I'm whatever, moving right along. 8:31, Jones got the news now on WTN.
Good morning. It is 8:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A former Clarksville doctor has been swept up in a healthcare crackdown by the federal government. Fox 17's Karen Aguilar says that this doctor is one of 455 defendants who have been charged.
Federal court documents accuse Ramon Aquino of prescribing drugs such as opioids in excessive and inappropriate quantities and claims some were without medical necessity, causing patients to abuse, misuse, and become addicted to the drugs. Over a 7-year period, from 2017 to 2024, Aquino is accused of prescribing 43,103 prescriptions, 525,519 pills of narcotics, and 569,455 pills of anti-anxiety drugs.
Now, the Department of Justice says the fraud schemes in total racked up $6.5 billion. The Millersville City Commission has formally accepted the resignation of Commissioner David Gregory after a sex crimes investigation over the abuse of 3 young children was launched. Here's Mayor Lincoln Atwood.
We take these matters with the utmost seriousness. Please be assured that our city's operations remain stable, uninterrupted, and fully committed to the transparency and accountability you deserve.
David Gregory's bond set at $750,000. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. After the opening bell here, the NASDAQ rose 120 points after those steep losses yesterday. The S&P 500 is up 26 points. We've got the Dow Jones Industrials gaining 7.5. But the real story is about oil, which right now is down 4%. The Brent crude price down 4% at $73 a barrel. And if you're looking at the West Texas crude oil prices, that's also down over 4% now at $70 a barrel. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I'm just back from vacation where I did all the cool beach things, parasailing and boogie boarding, long walks, and even some beach frisbee and, yes, roller coasters. Now, it feels so amazing to be able to do all of this. You know, there was a time that I could not because I was sidelined with chronic back pain. Then I heard a commercial just like this one and called the Wellness Institute of Nashville. After a few sessions of non-surgical spinal decompression, I did start to feel a lot better. And these days, I am better than ever, doing things at the age of 58 that I could not do at the age of 45. Now, one thing that really does impress me about Dr. Kevin Mitchell and the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they really do embrace new technology. These days, check out their Medical Bay 1, a futuristic healing machine that uses red light technology and stem cell stimulations for tissue regeneration and healing. Now, you mentioned my name, you get $33 off each visit. It is the Epic Spinal Special. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Find them online anytime. It is painisbad.com. Painisbad.com.
Looks like it's pretty slow still this morning on 24 heading westbound, Laverne into Nashville. Also on 65 north, you're looking at delays from the Cool Springs area all the way in. And you've got delays as well coming in on 65 and 24 from the north. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So Chris, you been to Cheekwood?
No.
No? All right. You got to take your kids to Cheekwood. It's about to close. Totally kidding. We don't
Stop
know.
it.
I don't want to
Jeez.
cause panic in the streets.
What is this Cheekwood? And why should I bring
It's
my
an
kids there?
arboretum. It's beautiful.
It's an arboretum, Chris.
Arboretum.
Yeah, trees and stuff.
Oh.
It's trees and bushes and plants and flowers.
They do special displays like the Shahuli glass and stuff.
The woods are free.
It's really not. What is the cost to go into Cheekwood? Like, kids go there for, I bet your kids are homeschooled, aren't they? So, you know what? If you cared about your kids.
This is a great way for them to learn.
Okay. Can I be honest with you? I want it to close.
Oh,
I Googled it.
Whatever.
And the first headline I see is unprecedented and radical existential threat could shutter Cheekwood. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Let it close. Why do I need to go here?
Well, because your kids would appreciate the nature. Do you hate Mother Nature, Chris? Are you a Mother Nature hater?
No.
Non-member tickets, $26 to $29 for adults.
That's for adults.
I pay for it.
I bet you can get in free if you're on welfare.
I don't know.
They're reduced. They're reduced tickets. If you're on any kind of government assistance, they're $3.
We did this whole thing. I was talking about amusement parks. You know, like in America, we're subsidizing amusement parks.
What do you mean?
Like if you're on welfare, you can get into a lot of these places for free.
As a guy that just spent a crap ton of money on a vacation to Universal in Florida, really?
Yeah.
I got to get on welfare,
I
man.
went down a rabbit hole. I'm like, why do I work? I could provide my kids such a better life on everyone else's dime.
Do you know that when you start, I think it was Senator Kennedy who started rattling off all of the different ways that people like, me, you, Joan, and Sam, as we work, all of the different ways that our taxpayer dollars subsidize people who claim to, they have no income. No, you have like $80,000 in income. You just don't work for it. I mean, it's so infuriating. You're talking about things like, rent subsidy and subsidies for your power, maybe your groceries. You got your food stamps. There's so many different ways to subsidize people who, and don't get me wrong, there are people that truly cannot work and they have whatever reasoning.
There's a reason we have a social safety net.
Yes, but
it's
there
not
are people
for you to go to Six Flags.
There are people that abuse it. There are people that abuse it. And so then the question is, okay, well then, if we're doling out these subsidies, how do you make sure that those people that are getting subsidies are not going to go to Six Flags or Disney World or Universal?
So what's happening with this Cheekwood?
Cheekwood.
Did Mayor Freddie raise the property taxes too high?
No, basically the city.
They said radical and existential threat, and that's where my mind went.
No, so basically what happened is that you have a bunch of people who demanded that they get better parking. So the city demanded they get better parking. They started building the better parking. And then the people that demanded the better parking don't like the blasting of the rock. So now they want them to stop blasting the rock. And Cheekwood says, if we can't expand the parking, we're going to have to close. So now there's a big controversy because Cheekwood has been around since like the late 1800s. And so this is like a generational place. And, people that are from Nashville, if they grew up in schools, and they probably went to field trips going to Cheekwood. So it's one of those places. And I've been to Cheekwood. I think it's great.
My wife texted me. She said, I've been trying to get you to that place. You always deny it.
What is wrong with you?
I said, well, I guess I dodged a bullet then.
So one thing about Cheekwood is you can safely take your kids there and not run into pride events during this month. During this Nuclear Family Month.
Nuclear Family Month.
However, it does say, so I checked and it said Cheekwood Estate Gardens frequently hosts community celebrations and does participate in the Greater Nashville Pride festivities, but they don't bring it into the gardens.
Well, then how do they participate if they don't
there's the
allow
big,
them into the gardens?
There's that big celebration downtown. I think it's this weekend.
Okay, so if
Pride Parade, whatever.
maybe has a float, and I'd be willing to bet you have a bunch of people on the float dancing around the trees.
Yeah.
Probably.
Whatever.
In weird attire.
There's secret gardens for things like that.
Well, Cheekwood does not host the official Nashville Pride Parade or Festival. They are proud of their commitment to the LGBT plus inclusivity and often run special community initiatives to welcome all.
Because the Cheek family was known for being raucously gay.
Were they?
Were they?
No.
Okay.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
You know what? You were right on the whole Rashida Tlaib thing, but you, sir, are out of order when you're talking about the Cheek family. With Cheek family or Cheekwood family?
No, Cheek family.
Cheek family.
Yep.
You, sir, are out of order. Although he was right on. Did you hear him drop She's Ugly on Rashida Tlaib?
Yeah, I know, right?
Poor Rashida Tlaib.
By the way, people are saying that...
You don't feel that way, and I know you don't.
I know.
You think Rashida Tlaib is hot? Is that what you're throwing down? That's what I'm getting from you.
Turd Ferguson had a great analogy. She looks like she was struck with a frying pan in the face.
You know what? She doesn't help herself with like the bright red lipstick and the
weird
loud
glasses.
clothing and the loud voice and the
just
constant death to Israel chant.
Insane eyeballs.
Is anybody else? I said this on my show yesterday. Glasses are always a tell.
Yes, they are.
I know you are crazy based on your glasses.
How many times have I said that, Joan? Where
Yeah.
it's like you...
The hair and the glasses.
These days it's the hair, but whenever you see some of these nut jobs on the socials and they're throwing down their nut jobbery, they've always got weird glasses.
They do. It's the craziest thing. It's such a tell.
It is a tell.
They wear like the 3D movie glasses with like 1.5 inch thick frames.
Yes, they do. By the way, Chris is too bougie to go to Cheekwood. Wow.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Would you consider yourself bougie?
Oh, I'm very bougie. I'm very bougie.
You know what? I kind of get that bougie vibe from you. I do. I get a bougie vibe. I'm too good for this place hand.
Yeah.
As he pulls up in his Tesla.
I don't know. I don't want to go pay to look at trees and flowers.
Your wife wants you to, Chris. Make your wife happy for once.
Happy wife,
For
happy
once.
life.
I'm kidding.
For once.
I'm kidding. Chris is like, shut the hell up, Mandis. What the hell?
I don't know. I don't want to. I could go to Lowe's and look at
Will you
flowers.
not do something nice for your wife and your children?
Gosh.
Joan, we've tapped into something bigger. Do you remember the big conversation we had yesterday where I said that Amy drags me by the ear to get pedicures?
Yes.
And I endure that from my wife?
I think you like it a little more than
I
you
don't remember.
lead
Yeah.
on.
I don't remember the drag by the ear part.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a new
Okay.
wrinkle to the story.
You have some
Initially-
draggable ears, though.
Initially, she dragged me by the ears. Now I go and I
Now there's a bit of a frolic in your step when you
little
know
bit
it's
of a
pedicure
frolic, maybe a
time.
little bit of a skip.
Does 2
Oh,
o'clock work
Amy,
for you?
when are you going to drag me to the salon again?
But anyway, but you won't even do that for your lovely missus and take her to Cheekwood. Like how?
I didn't even know that I said no, to be honest with you.
Just a reflex.
That's a whole nother conversation,
I
man.
didn't know I said no until she reminded me.
You just say no to everything.
I generally speaking, it's going to be a no from me.
All right, Randall.
I can't help it.
You must be such a ball of fun to live with.
I am.
Sounds like you're not, actually, Chris.
People love me.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's what they say.
They get their glasses at the dollar store, $76.92.
Oh, we wish, actually. They get their glasses from these stupid high-end designers that charge hundreds or sometimes even thousands of dollars for these glasses that they wear and look stupid in.
0324, Tlaib affirms the saying, lipstick on a pig.
Oh, well, except for the fact that the pig is haram.
You know, when Sam said that, I thought, because I get, do you do this? I get Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib confused sometimes because I find them both appalling. So I was going to throw down what she needs to do is take that turban on her head and just pull it down over her face. But then I realized Rashida Tlaib doesn't actually wear the turban. That's Ilhan Omar.
Who was the one in the squad that did the upside down twerking, like the handstand twerking in the bathing suit?
What?
Do you remember that?
No. This was a thing, Joan. There was somebody.
Was it Corey Bush?
No, Corey Bush is a man.
Corey Bush is not a man.
No, Corey Bush is not a man.
You're thinking of Cory Booker.
Oh, same thing. Whatever. They're all dumb. Anyway, I don't know. Will somebody Google it? I don't know.
I'm looking for
The upside
right
down.
now,
I remember
unfortunately.
the upside twerking, and her butt cheeks were like, since we're talking about cheeks in this segment, her cheeks were going like, doing that whole twerking thing.
Tierra Mack, Rhode Island state senator.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Did she win?
No, she's been gone for a while.
Has she?
R.I.P.
This looks very difficult to do.
Twerking? Twerking
Upside
while
down.
doing a handstand?
Yeah.
I mean, there was some skill involved.
Yeah, no denying that.
Yeah. Okay.
All bronze, no brains.
Oh, Trump bathroom. Thank you, Ron.
Trump bathroom. Oh man, we almost Sam, you and I, we fell down on our job.
I gave Joan and Sam specific instructions to remind the addle-minded host to talk about the Donald Trump bathroom and something that Donald Trump is being accused of in a new book. You know what it says? That Donald Trump likes carpeted bathrooms.
Ugh.
Yuck.
That's what this new book
is this the
says.
Jonathan Swan book? Is that what this is?
I don't know.
What's wrong with carpeted bathrooms?
Isn't there pictures of his bathroom? Wasn't there a whole thing that he had a golden toilet? Can't this be debunked very, very quickly?
Listen, he might the man is of a certain age. He might like carpeted bathrooms. Now, apparently, it is so bad that when he gets out of the bathroom and out of the shower, because there's a shower in there, that it's sopping wet. So now what they have to do is they have to take an exact match of that carpet and make it like a bath mat. So he's got a carpeted bath mat, allegedly, over the actual carpet, and they've got several different pieces of that carpet that they have to sort of, rotate in and out.
And this is supposed to be at the White House?
This is supposedly
bathroom.
in the private bathroom where he showers and stuff.
So he beautified the entire White House, and they said, put carpet in the bathroom.
Maybe. That's what they're saying.
I don't believe that.
I used carpet bathrooms in my life, and it is nice to kick your socks off and be able to walk from, not have any cold tile under your feet as you go to.
That's what slippers are for.
You also could get heated tile. Like you can get the floors that are heated.
Okay, you are bougie.
I'm just
But
saying
that's
it's a
slip. It's a slip hazard.
If I had Donald Trump money, yeah, I'm heating them tile.
You know what? Fair point. If you've got Donald,
if I had Donald Trump money,
well, is he allowed to spend his own money to have heated tiles? That would be the life. Heated. You know what?
From the book. Here you go. From the book. Are you ready?
When I suddenly make a lot of money, which I'm sure will happen at some point in radio, I'm going to have, that's the sign that you've made it. Heated tiles in your bathroom.
I won't tell anybody I won the lottery, but there will be signs.
It's exactly right. Joan, what does it say?
All right. It says, like many couples with enough taxpayer-funded square footage to successfully avoid each other, like he uses taxpayer funds for his estate in Florida.
He and Melania, actually, they're
very successful in their own right.
Yeah, but they are in separate bedrooms and bathrooms.
Right. It says Donald and Melania famously maintain separate bedrooms. Melania occupies the traditional lavish master suite, while Trump is relegated to the room next door.
Whoa, don't say master suite. That's racist.
I know, that's so racist.
That's primary now.
I want to, though, bring something up. Is it Chris? Just notice what Donald Trump does for his wife. Staying in the little bedroom next door while Melania is in the bigger Regal suite, but you won't even go to Cheekwood for Virginia.
Trump doesn't sleep, so what does he need a big room for?
Yeah,
fair point.
He gets up at the crack of dawn and gets at it.
Yeah.
Point Joan Jones.
9162 texted and said, Cheekwood promotes Tai Chi, which is anti-Christian. Thank you. They don't respect me.
By the way, we are getting hammered with people that are saying that carpeted bathrooms are awesome.
No, we're not getting hammered. Bill said it, and Bill is okay. It's okay for Bill to be wrong.
No, I've got. There's other ones too. You know what? More people agree with us that Rashida Tlaib is ugly. I'm sorry. Whatever.
Art is subjective.
I wouldn't mind a carpeted bathroom that is completely private, but one that other people can use is a big no. So if it's a personal bathroom.
Here's the gross thing, that it's the elephant in the room. It's the late night bathroom visit that results in the drip. You know what I'm talking about?
It's the spray.
No.
Like you finish up and then there's that one drip.
Nope.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
If you love your wife
You know what I'm talking about.
You sit down to
That's
go to the
what-
bathroom,
Chris.
even if you're a man.
That's why you tap.
I get it, but I'm saying
Tap.
It's the tap.
more than a few shakes and you're playing with it, Dan.
It's more than 3.
I'm out. I'm out.
Joan, you wouldn't understand.
Plus, the carpeting adds a level of soundproofing that people with more audible bowel movements might appreciate.
We weren't talking
Okay,
bowel
Sam.
movements.
You know what?
We
I'm
were
going to put you
there.
on timeout.
I feel like that would have been a much funnier story if Donald Trump needs to soundproof his bathroom because he doesn't want anybody to hear his bowel movements.
All those Big Macs and Diet Cokes.
Nuclear number 2s.
You people are awful.
Gerard, I'm going upstairs.
He calls it the bunker.
Gerard, get the earplugs. You don't want to hear this.
I'm headed into the bunker. It's DEFCON 2. Number 2.
This is terrible. Joan,
Awful.
you want to continue?
No, I don't actually.
Joan's DUN done. That's
I'm
Joan's
over-
angry. That's what it is.
Every day it devolves into this.
You know what?
Joan is
discussion.
the one that brought the bathroom story.
Yeah.
No, Dan brought the bathroom
no,
story.
we know it was Joan.
Dan even called for us to give him the bathroom story, and I forgot.
Because you brought it up off the air.
That was part of the Joan manipulation. She does this all the time.
Joan plants seeds like she's at Cheekwood.
Women are excellent manipulators.
She does it to us every day.
Yeah.
And then she blames us.
Yeah, no. I just not even. See, Sarah said stop it.
Well,
Sarah said you guys need to knock it off.
7679 carpeted bathroom is anti-hygienic. It grows mold and fungus. It harvests germs.
Thank you.
They got a White House cleaning staff.
I don't know why Joan brought this up.
I do.
People are saying zero res. Chris, great opportunity for you to plug zero res.
yeah.
If you've got carpeted bathrooms, call zero res. They'll fix it right up.
I don't even know if
They got. I hear, Chris. From what I hear, they got a great deal going on right now at Zero Res. Like two
and
bedrooms,
three.
a hallway, and a bathroom.
And a bathroom. Yep.
All right, we're done.
Sarah said stop talking about bodily functions. I am in agreement. Like, we don't need to discuss bodily functions every time the four of us are together.
I don't know why you guys bringing this up all the time. Joan, you're the mom of the show.
You say that, and then I play the Matt Raspberry, and you're laughing again.
All right, it's 8:55.
It's so immature.
See, the funny thing is, Joan is like, it's so immature, yet she's the one laughing hysterically. I'm the host that's trying to get us back on track. And by the way, what I absolutely love is Chris is over here silent, laughing at himself because he started us down this stupid road.
I didn't do anything.
You know darn right well what you did.
I've been trying to get out of this cross for years.
Oh, so that's what you're doing. You bring up bodily functions so that we kick you off the cross.
Once again, I had nothing to do with this. Joan has been manipulating us behind the scenes.
All right, we got to go. Joan, what's coming up in the news?
I can't.
You know what? Do it, or he's gonna
Yeah.
play the little
Okay, no, I won't.
toot sound.
Williamson County is looking for a new school superintendent. Also, I've got some Dolly Parton news to tell you coming up at 9 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Chris, what's coming up?
We'll talk about the socialist takeover of New York City. Plus, we got updates from Tom Homan. Not a fan of Zohran Mamdani. All that and more.
Dan Mandis here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They always want to save you money on AC service and repair. They also want to send you on a beach vacation. I've got to tell you, I just got back from one. Amazing, and Busy Bee wants to send you on your own. Now, summer is officially here. Right now, you buy any new home AC unit this month, the month of June, you are entered to win a free 3-day beach getaway. Busy Bee is also going to pay for your gas, your lodging, and a couple of meals a day. Check out all the details at busybeehvac.com. They're also saving you money with 10% off their deluxe air duct cleaning package or 5% off the middle tier. So, with Busy Bee, you're saving money and you're cleaning the air inside your home. They've also got a lot of ways to save on